Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We are talking to you guys today about Married at First Sight. It's been crazy this episode, and we got to see some really interesting clips from this particular episode. We had Jasmina showing out and showing face with Michael, and we saw Lindsay let Mark the Shark know she don't want no 1 minute man. And we also saw Stephen Noy. Yeah, Stephen Noy. And Steve is still Noy Jobs. He's Steve Noy Jobs. You understand? If you get it, you get it. And we also saw as well O and Katina, who's still in the phase of wanting a cook and a chef and comes home to an unclean home. Let's talk a little bit about it, baby. If you're new here, if you're just joining us, this may be your first time, we want you to raise your hand because we want to celebrate you. I'm playing, we're in church. But listen, if you're here, leave a comment in the comment section, please. Let us know that you are here tonight because it's about to go down. We are about to have conversation tonight because today's episode, it's about to get interesting, isn't it? So, again, as always, this is it's going to be an open panel. So the first part, you guys are going to, if you want to join, you're going to be able to join. I'm going to send you guys a link in a second or two, so that you can also join. So you can send me an email if you want to join. Let me know. Okay, all right. Let me get this going for you guys. All right, cool. Let's put this banner up so you guys can jump in the conversation. Yeah. All right, cool. So let's quickly just have a recap, a quick breakdown of what we saw on tonight's episode. Oh, sorry, yesterday's episode, I should even say. There was a lot of things that I was concerned with, i.e. Jasmina, Katina. I felt like with them, they were, unfortunately, these two, they were problematic. All right, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to find some real nice words in here. Okay, problematic. Okay, and the reason why they were problematic is because first and foremost, O was consistently using words to break down our sister Katina. I got no problems with you feeling the way you feel about cooking. I've got no problems with you wanting her to clean. I've got no problems with you wanting to, have a clean house. I have no problems. What I will have a problem with is the way that you ask for it. There's a way to go about it. There's a way to discuss this. There's a way to let somebody know. There's a way to talk to somebody. You know what I mean? And after a while, you have to ask yourself the question. You keep getting passionate, you say. You care about this girl, you say. You love this girl, you say. But you keep putting her in a position where you're talking down to her. You know? And after a while, we're going to have to consider whether you really love this woman the way you say you love her. We're going to have to ask a question after a while. Really, how much can you love this woman if consistently you are doing what you're doing? Right? So for me, I got to ask the question again, sir, are you sure that you really love this woman? Are you sure that you really love this woman? Because the way you're behaving at the moment, sir, it's not showing me that you love her, man. Right? It's not showing me that you love her. That's what I'm gonna say. I'll keep it short and sweet. Then we also had Jasmina and Michael, right? Whew. Jasmina and Michael, yeah. The thing about them two, yeah, is that Jasmina is really wanting a man to be strong, um, be dominant, hold a masculine frame, as they say. That's what she wants from the person. She hasn't got that, and now she's just running riot, right? To the point where she's almost, I want to say almost gaslighting, right? Almost. I don't want to say she is, but I want to say almost. And the reason why I say that again is because the way she's going on, she is literally almost bullying man. Yeah. So when man is talking and you interrupt him, you walk out and you come back in the room again, you start talking again and don't let him finish his point, we have to start looking at that, right? Yeah. We have to start looking at that. So for me, I'm looking at Michael and I'm saying I'm not blaming him necessarily for Jasmina's behavior, but what I'm saying is you have to be honest that his should I say need to be more emotional in the way he deals with things is allowing her also to feel like she's not safe. This is not a blaming thing. This is just a reasoning. I want to make it very clear, okay? We are talking about reasoning, not blaming. You know, the same thing I would do last one. I was talking about Michael when he was doing what he was doing. I want to do the same thing for Jasmina. I don't agree with what Jasmina did. I find it despicable. But at the same time, I also realize that she's looking for safety and doesn't see that in Michael either. Right? She doesn't see safety in Michael. And so now we've got this woman who's in a relationship with this gentleman who doesn't feel safe and then acts wild. You'll be surprised what people will do when they don't feel safe, what they do. They need something to show that they're safe. So sometimes an argument is a safe place, which is really wild because you're like, what? How can that be? It's because that is a familiar pattern. An argument shows, oh, if you argue, you must care. Or if you argue, you must feel something. If you argue, then maybe you do love me. And I point in blank put this point. When they were doing the yoga session, what did she say? She felt like sometimes he doesn't care. And that's because the way she interprets information. That's the way she's interpreting the interactions she has with Michael. That's because she's interpreting the way that the way she moves, or way he moves, sorry, I should say, all right, as it being a weakness, right? So unfortunately, she's now reacting the way she is. Again, it is not an excuse for the behavior. It is a reasoning. Because many people have grown up in dysfunction. I want you to just picture this. I'm not giving her an excuse. I want you to understand. I give her unlimited smoke. You guys know. You know I like to give smoke. Right? But I also understand that in the case of her relationship with Michael, okay, all right, what we have seen from her is the fact that we know that she was abandoned at a young age, or etc., and was reared by, was it stepmom or stepdad or whatever. And unfortunately, that makes you feel unsafe, right? You haven't had that physical and emotional safety. You've got questions wondering, why am I being left alone? You've got questions, why have I not been why did they leave me? Why do they not want me? Right? And any hint of another individual showing any form of rejection towards you, or if you interpret it as rejection, you will look at it, the person will get triggered. Person will get triggered. And so in the same manner, I'm seeing the same thing with Jasmina. Again, it's not an excuse for the behavior. Yeah. Again, it's not an excuse for the behavior, but it's some understanding at least of where she may be coming from. Do I think they should be still together? No. Because she ain't gonna stop. Until she gets individual therapy, she's gonna keep on going the way she wants. Right? So yeah. I'm saying, that I can see where she's coming from, but yeah, okay. Someone said, stepmom, both parents left her. That's why it's easier for her to have a long distance relationship again. So this is beautiful. When what she hasn't had, what Jazz has not had, is emotional safety and emotional availability from a parent. Not saying that a stepmom couldn't do a good job. I'm saying that it leaves a hole when your actual parents pretty much abandon you, and you're left with a stepmom. Cool, she's left with a stepmom, but your stepmom's not your mom. You understand? Your real parents didn't stay with you. Right? So what happens is, in amongst that, you have a little bit of what we call the orphan spirit. And in the orphan spirit, if you don't fix the orphan spirit, you can never be settled in a loving home, because you're still thinking like an orphan. And then as an orphan, you have to realize when you're in an orphanage, at any moment, anything can happen. At any moment, anything can happen. At any moment, anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. So for you, your mindset, right? Your mindset now, when you're looking at things, it's coming from a place of, okay, you know what? I have to protect me. I'm the only one that's got my back. Rejection can happen at any moment. Anybody could stop liking me, stop loving me. I have to handle me. And so I totally get now why when you're in a particular arena, okay, all right, that when you're in a relationship, that vulnerability that you're asking for from her, she needs to find it that it's a safe space, but she has to see a prolonged amount of consistency. What she's doing is being hypersensitive. Again, I'm not giving her a pass. I want you to understand this. I'm explaining behavior. I'm not giving her a pass, right? What she's doing is like uh in a sense, what she's doing is like uh for her, she comes into a place and then she's like, if I be vulnerable, I could be exposed, I could be hurt. And so every time she looks for something to set her off, she's looking for a reason to get out. Because she's like, I'm gonna get ahead of this. I'm not gonna let you get me before I get you. You're not gonna get me. You know what I mean? So that orphan spirit where you feel abandoned, it's tough to come out of. And that's why I'm saying to you that I know someone said you can course correct. Some people can. They can. But you're asking for Michael to stay in a prolonged state for a very long time for her to course correct. You're asking Michael to stay in it for a very long time for him to course correct. We ain't got the time. In that amount of time, you might have killed you emotionally, man. Right? Pretty much can kill you. Do you know what I mean? Um, for me, I think also as well, I think you guys have kind of said it with the way, the way that Jasmina goes on, especially when she labeled him aggressive and labeled him yelling and shouting already, when we've clearly seen that is not the case. That in itself is difficult because I was saying that like he needs to assert boundary, but you're right, it's difficult to do that because what you don't want to do is you don't want to then be labeled aggressive again when you know you're not being aggressive. You know, um, it's it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. And so now he's needing from Jasmina her to be a bit softer, calm. You guys noticed that during the case of, I don't know if I can get the clip up. Let me see if I can get a clip up for you guys.
Getting a better connection, then I want to do those things as well. Kiss you, cuddle you, or whatever comes after that.
She says whenever she feels safe, she'll be able to do that when she has emotional connection. How do they build an emotional connection? How do they get to that point? Someone say you run from carrots. How do you get to that point where you're able to build an emotional connection if we don't have a safe space, right? How do we do that if we don't have an emotional safe space to do so? It's very difficult to, right? It's very, very difficult to. And so, as much as I want it to work, I'm looking at it and I'm going, uh, I'm looking at it from the point of view that it's going to be very difficult to foster the kind of relationship that you actually want. He doesn't trust her. She don't trust him. Um, someone said, "Where's the seventh Michael?" I hear you. Yeah, I hear you on this one still. So yeah, so it's very difficult to be able to get to a point where you open yourself up, especially if the other person is also spiking you, shooting you down. Literally, old girl was interrupting my man like 5 minutes later in the show that we see right on the couch. It was a mayhem. I tell you, look at this.
You just said it.
Okay, 5 sec. But right now, present tense. I am telling you, F the journaling. We can do it that way.
We've got to a point where, Michael, listen, and I'll say this again: the person who to have a partner who's going to roll their eyes at this moment tells me that she's now moving into disdain and discontent, right? When you go into discontent, when you get to that place, especially as a woman, when she gets to a point of disrespect from discontent and disdain towards you, it is long, right? Because at that point, when she shows disdain and discontempt or contempt towards you, it is because the respect level is on an all-time low, right? And that is a problem. Okay, that is a problem, right? And so what you'll realize is, I think I spoke about this before, guys, with you lot, about emotional triggers. If you notice, whenever there is blame on Jasmina, as soon as she has to be culpable for blame, remember the friend said the same thing too, she gets triggered. Now, I don't want to say too much because I've done a review on this and I broke it all the way down. But Jasmina has an issue with being triggered about blame. That's her trigger. That's her emotional trigger, right? That's her emotional trigger. Her emotional trigger, is if she was pretty, would he have part with it? I think he would have still part with it. I think he would still have part with it. Her emotional, the emotional trigger for Jasmina, right, is anytime you put the tone on, but it's also the fact that anytime you blame her. So what she's hearing is, I think we're getting more information, is when she hears a tone, she feels like she's being told off. This is why she wants to have a conversation. I'll show you guys something. Let me just show you guys this. If you guys were with us on Tuesday, we spoke about this as well, right? So let me just bring this up. Let's bring this up so you guys can see this, right? So if you look at this, so I wrote this down. So it says, but blame can also be a defensive thing. It can be something we do when we feel we aren't being noticed, noticed or cared for in the way that we would want it to be. And even more commonly, it can be something we do because we're struggling to understand or deal with our own emotions, preferring instead to project them onto other people. Okay, so some of the responses when people get emotional, when they are triggered, one of the behavioral responses is argumentative. That's what we're seeing from Jasmina, right? But here's another thing as well, all right? Here's another thing. I spoke about this on Tuesday. These are emotional triggers, okay? Now, Jasmina's is here. Whenever Michael says we are to blame, she hears nothing else apart from I'm to blame, right? And whenever she hears the blame aspect, she goes into a reaction, okay? Her reaction immediately comes out of that, out of fear. She immediately retaliates and goes into a response. Her response is she blames someone else for the pain. So instead of actually accepting it and being accountable for actual actions on in reliance in accordance with what she's done, right? She will feel some type of way, right? Because she hasn't got to a point where she's self-aware to realize that whenever there is any aspect of blame to go, she is reacting on a complex. There is a past issue that she's feeling like and she's projecting onto right now. So Michael says something and she's like, you don't have to take a tone, Michael, because what she's doing is she's noticing any slight fluctuation in his tone feels like to her like she's being accused, right? As soon as Jasmina hears a tone that changes slightly, that is it. She just goes. Because she's not hearing Michael at that point. She's hearing whatever was in the past. Now, if your parents abandon you, there is an aspect of guilt that can happen. Right? There's an aspect of guilt that can happen. And you're right, Jasmine thinks she can do no wrong. And the reason why she thinks she can do no wrong is because if she accepts that she's wrong, it would mean looking at the whole situation of the past and reliving some of those painful moments. Again, you couldn't control the aspects of your parents leaving, can't control that, but you may be feeling like you may feel some guilt from the fact they left you, as in what's wrong with me. And as soon as Michael sets a certain tone, you can feel like, hey, like, you don't need to tell me off. I'm not to blame, right? I'm not to blame. It could be. So I'm not saying it actually is that, and it could be something else. But from what I've seen, that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like is happening at the moment. You know, um, and it's tough. It's tough. Someone said it. Okay. Because why does she think her behavior is acceptable? Someone said, okay, Jasmina has been given a pass in the past. I wonder why can we discuss this? Maybe she's been given a pass because uh maybe she's given a pass because again her parents left her, right? So you have a stepmom, stepdad, they may give you a bit more leeway when it comes to how they treat you because they know that your past, your mom and your dad abandoned you. So maybe they couldn't give you, or they felt like they couldn't give you the discipline that's needed. You see, train a child up in a way to go and he will not depart from it. The training is important, right? But what people don't realize is even if you train somebody, you have to be aware that they could be fighting something. I was just talking about this today in London when I was giving a talk to men. You know, what you won't realize is that people are fighting certain demons. And when I say demons, I'm talking about issues. Some people are fighting certain issues in their life. For instance, the way that she suffered with her parents losing her parents or her parents abandoning her, right? We don't know how that's affected her. But what she may have needed actually is for her to go into therapy or to speak with a counselor and actually vent out how she feels, right? So, um, so uh, someone said she actually isn't open to criticism from her friends. When her friends tried to criticize her, she tried to correct the friend and said, "I don't do that." When her friend said, "You're always actually right," she said, she tried to almost correct her. So they have the same issue. She's not doing it with just the girls. She's doing it with the men and the girls. She generally all round doesn't know how to take very good accountability with issues. And it's oftentimes two things. Either you got a fragile ego due to the fact that you weren't validated as a child, or it could be the fact that, like I said, there's an event that was traumatic for you where you felt like you got a lot of blame for the situation. And thus, in those moments, what you're doing is you're self-defending. When someone else blames you, you feel like, I'm never going to put myself in a position where I'm overloaded with blame and make myself feel like that again. So any hint of a blame, you kind of run away from it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's again, it's one of those things where she's got a lot that she's got to go through. Uh, you know, and it's painful. So someone said, I don't understand how Jasmina always talks about how Michael never yours to see her side, but she is very close minded. Um, again, it could be, yeah, it could be, uh, yeah, exactly. See, Graham, that could be it. Absolutely. That could also be it, that people have likely been given her a pass for being away she's because of childhood trauma. Yeah. If you know someone's lost their parents, you might be like, allow it, man. She lost her parents, man. Or her parents abandoned her, allow her. But all of that contributes towards the way you grow up. It's just, do you know what I mean? When you grow up, you now are dealing with the thought patterns that you had as a child that have never been matured, curated, and also challenged, right? What you'll notice with Jasmina and Michael is I think the difficult Jasmina is having is that finally she has to deal with somebody face to face, day to day. And I think this experiment is really good for her to learn a really good lesson, probably at the expense of Michael, because she's now having to face the mirror. Relationships, in fact, marriage is a mirror. And what it will do is it will expose you to you. It will expose your character. It will expose your patience, your kindness, your love. It will expose things that you thought were never even there. It will expose you completely. And I think what's happening is finally she's being met with the mirror, and it's very difficult to take. So instead of taking on the blame and the anxiety and the guilt from actually realizing my behavior is a problem, what she will do is now project onto other person, because she's never had to face herself in this type of manner. Many of us who've been in relationships, when you go into a relationship and you're self-aware, you'll start to realize, oh, when you're in a relationship, okay, the other person might be moving mad, but you start to realize more about you. You're like, raw, I didn't know I was like that. I didn't know that I didn't know that my patience wasn't that great. I didn't realize that I wasn't like this. I didn't realize I was like this. And relationships they do that to us when we're vulnerable. Right? They do that when they're vulnerable. And so unfortunately, she's now in a relationship where she's face to face with someone and has to deal with them on a regular. And what she's realizing is, oh my God, there's a lot that's within me. And instead of actually dealing with it, she's now projecting. And remember, I spoke about this yesterday. If you guys were with me, I spoke about this yesterday about how, let me bring out the notes again. Y'all know I bring the notes. Let's quickly go through this again, just so that you guys can see. I spoke about this the other day on our Tuesday show. Yes, I got the highlights out. You already know. Okay, so we talk about emotional regulation, and this is really important. So emotional regulation is the ability to manage your emotions in a healthy way. This includes being able to understand them, okay, process them, and express them in an appropriate manner. And this is really important, okay, because if you don't know how to understand your emotions, okay, don't know how to process them, and don't know how to express them very well, we've got a problem. Okay, so if we break it into three things, when we're talking about understand them, if you don't understand them, what can kick in, all right, is frustration. What can kick in is you being confused. What can kick in is you now being overloaded in a sense, almost by all means, right? But more than anything, all right, is that when you don't understand something, confusion sets in, right? If you don't understand something, it's gonna be very hard to process and express it if you don't understand it, right? So you may be getting information in, but if you don't understand it, that's why the Bible even tells us, listen, that if a noise is not, if we don't want to be like a banging cymbal, right? Without any intelligible noise, you've got to be able to determine what the noise is. If you hear water running, you know it's water running. You're able to identify the sound of water running, which means it has meaning now. Right? If you didn't understand the sound of water running, you'd hear water running, but you wouldn't understand it. Right? So if you have emotions, but you don't understand them, you don't have language to actually deep what you're seeing, it can become very difficult for the individual person. Right? If you don't know how to process your emotions, so you're understanding it, but you're not processing it very well, right? You don't know how to handle the wave of emotions, you shut down, right? You go into shutdown mode. You go into a place where you don't know, you don't want to communicate, you don't want to talk, you don't want to express yourself, you don't want to do anything because you're overloaded by the process of the information coming your way, right? And the last one, right, is express them. If you do not know, if you can process it, you can understand it, but you can't express them, we got a problem. If you don't know how to be intelligible and know how to express it to people, you will find a way to express it, but it won't be the right way. So you will express it in an inappropriate manner. You'll find actions to do rather than expressing through language. And so what we're seeing with Jasmina at the moment is really an aspect of her behavior where she is unable to fully articulate, all right, what you're really going through. Okay? And this is a problem, you know? Yeah, so it's unfortunate. It's sad. It's painful. I hate to see it. Um, but we're here, and this is unfortunate. Now, what he's gonna need to do also is to focus on how to make sure he knows how to set good boundaries. All right. Um, yeah, I know. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing when she was doing that. She was setting a boundary. What she was doing was setting a boundary for her and Michael. She wanted to let him know there was distance between us. She wanted to do that. That was her truth. It's unfortunate. Um, it's unfortunate, but that's what she was doing. Okay, let's discuss another person. If Michael, you say, I hear you. Yeah, I see that. She even mentioned as well that she broke up with a man who didn't argue with her. Wow. Yeah, because the truth of the matter is arguments make her feel safe. Yeah. Arguments make her feel safe. Yeah. So she likes the argument. The argument makes her feel safe. It makes her feel wanted. Makes her feel desired. Especially when you have the argument and then you make up. That is it's funny because she's doing the very thing that Noy said she liked. That argument where I remember the toxicity. I remember those days when I was young. I remember this toxicity when I was young. When Mandem wanted a girl that was a little bit toxic. When we say at those times we didn't even call it toxic. You want a girl that's a little bit spicy. Yeah, I like a little bit I like a girl that's a little bit argumentative because we're gonna have that makeup sex stuff, right? And it's a warped idea because you've been taught incorrectly, right? You've been taught incorrectly. um you know and so unfortunately, this is what she's used to, or this is what makes her feel safe because she interprets arguing as the person now cares for me. So it's sad. um yeah, Jasmina says she misses check. Yeah, because she misses being desired. Listen, I'm sure Jasmina is not short of suitors. She's a beautiful girl, very, very, very pretty girl, and I'm sure she's not short of men chasing after her. Now, Michael is not doing any particular chasing at this moment, right? He's not chasing any particular moment because they are married already. All right, they're married already, and you kind of skip that part of the relationship where there is the chase, the person running after you, wanting you, the little tiki taka between the two of you, right? I bet you that chase lasts much longer in a relationship where you're long distance. That honeymoon phase lasts much longer in a long distance relationship than when you are up close and personal. The married at first sight robbed her of that experience prolonged because you get over it real fast. You get over it real fast because as soon as you start, fam, you're straight in there, you're living together, you're with each other 24/7. That chase that you're talking about, that energy in a long distance relationship will last longer because we're far away. I see you maybe every 2 weeks or whatever. It's like brand new, fresh. You don't get that in man at first sight. It's gonna run away, right? So, I think what's happened is that she's shown her tail, and a mirror has happened. That the fact that in this relationship that part has been removed. That part has been removed. And again, she hasn't allowed herself to. You see, again, what's also happened is there's someone said, obviously, I love that Ashley say there should be a level of chase, married or not. You're right, there should be. The issue here is that she's now in a short space, smaller space, and her actions, she can't get away with it, right? You can't get away in this relationship with the stupidity that you've been doing in past relationships because you're up close and personal now. And every action you do is affecting a person right next to you. They're not feeling to want to chase you. They're not feeling to want to be next to you. They're not feeling to want to to want to desire you, because at the end of the day, you have robbed them of the emotional connection that they need, right? So you want to be, if you want that man to desire you, and not even necessarily, I get what I mean by chase, like, a little bit of that, energy where they're coming after you, right? If you want that, what you need to understand is that you need to provide that space for it. But what she doesn't realize is, in the long distance relationships, your kamikaze, fungazi madness was looked at as maybe sexy, might have been looked at as nice, because you were long distance. I don't deal with you every day physically. When you're in a relationship like this, I'm dealing with you every single day. You're mad if you think I'm going to continue. You're mad if you think I'm going to continue. You're mad if you think I'm going to continue like this. You're mad. Do you understand? So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. Someone said, "Do I think Michael and Jasmina can overcome their problems and have a successful marriage?" There's always a chance. There's always a chance, but maybe I'm coming from my own experience, and so I'm a little bit biased. Someone like Jasmina, she needs help. Simple as. We said earlier on in the season that Michael needs therapy. Jasmina needs therapy. And she needs somewhere she can actually speak about speak about her actual issues. That's what makes it difficult. She's gonna need somewhere to go to a counselor and speak about her life and issues. Yeah. She's to sit down, see a counselor, speak to that counselor, release all that she's ever gone through, and start to think. See, I was thinking about this earlier on today. Really great therapists, the best thing they do is they're able to align your behavior now with behavior from the past, right? This is the kind of stuff that I do when I'm coaching people, right? I don't call myself a therapist because I'm not verified like that. I'm not studied. But whenever I coach people, if you come to me and done some coaching with me, my objective is to link present with past. My job is to open your eyes, right? My job is to open your eyes and to provide the links between the two. Because what's happened is a lot of people can't get the tie from the present to the past and bring them together. So they don't see the correlation. Thus, there's no change. So as somebody who's coaching or someone who's a therapist, the best job they can do is start to help you bring in together those lines and show you that they're all connected, right? The whole entire time, the job of what I'm doing is to connect past and present, what you're doing right now and what you've done in the past. Do you get what I'm saying? And once the two marry and you start to see that, once you start understanding I must deal with root causes, you start thinking in that manner. What are my root causes? You start to become introspective. What is the root of my behavior? No longer thinking at the tip or the fruit of the behavior, but I'm looking at the root of where it came from. That's what's important. Yeah. Curly Beauty says, at least this episode during the tantric yoga, the create a safe space statement seemed to hit home. An expert told her, then Michael told her, got to soften up if you want a connection. Yeah, I know, it seemed like it changed. It seemed like it sunk in. The difficulty is not that it's not that she doesn't know this. The difficulty with Jasmina is not that she doesn't know this. The difficulty for her is the fact that, can I change this? And do I want to do the work to change this? Because remember, what you're asking someone to do is to change their worldview, right? If you check, if you're willing to change your worldview and have your previous worldview shattered, then you'll end up bringing change. But it's getting through that process. Can you do that? So she will have those moments, Jasmina, where she'll show glimmers and potential, but then she'll revert back to the old ways because it's comfortable. So unless she's willing to break through those barriers, very, very tough. And sometimes a breakup is the motivation to go and look through your process. So that's why I released a video today saying, oh, you know what? You know what? She'll regret this when she finishes the relationship. She'll look back and be like, that's not how I should have behaved, man. Yeah. That's not how I should have behaved. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. It's tough to change that, man. It's tough to change that. Hold on. Let's go to another person because Chunele.
I feel like I don't really know how I'm going to help you if you have this archaic idea about, and very flimsy idea about what makes a good wife.
Whew, I mean, it's tough in these streets, man. It's tough in these streets now. It's tough in these streets. It's tough in these streets. And I say that because with O, what I'm seeing with O right now, okay, is the brother was doing too much. Too much. Too much. Now, do I think he has a problem with black women? I find it hard to make that deduction as of yet. I'm not gonna throw it out there and say no. I'm not gonna throw it out there and say no. But I'm also not gonna throw it out there and say yes, because I don't think there's enough information to do so. If you remember, Isaac has been trashed to every woman he's met. Trashed to every single woman. Every single woman he's met, he's been trash. He's consistent. I'm telling you, that guy is completely gonna trash women, whether they're black, white, Asian, whatever. He's been doing it. Right? So he's consistent when it comes to how he feels. Right? That's what it is. Okay. So I would say that. Okay, let's kind of go into a little bit of the clip because there's a lot of stuff going on, in their relationship that I was like, oh my God. Like I watch O and I'm like, bro, what's going on through your head top? I still don't get it. Right? I still don't get it. What are you doing? What are you doing? But anyway, let me get our brother on and let's conquer the world with this, man. Broskis.
What's going on?
What's good, bro? Let me put my headphones on because I just realized I don't have them on, bro. Ooh. Okay. Yes, brother.
Man, what an episode, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, bro. Can't lie to you. Oh, man, I don't even know where to even start, bro.
We want to start with the easy one first?
Let's start with the easy, bro. Let's start with the easy, bro. Wait, who's easy? It was
Stephen Noy. That's easy.
Stephen Noy.
Or you want to do
I think that was easy, innit? Stephen Noy was easy, innit?
Yeah, it was easy.
Yeah.
It was nothing crazy.
Stephen Noy was easy, so we can kick off them. Okay. Let's go with Stephen Noy. Kick us off, bro. What's she saying, bro?
So, like,
I already know what you're thinking, bro.
Steve wants to be a Stepford wife, bro.
Oh, didn't we say it?
Yes. It's like, come on. I'm so over this foolishness. I'm over this about his income and all this, excessive wealth that he has. When brother was confronted about the job situation, he said, well, the cooking and cleaning ain't gonna get done the way it is if I gotta have a job. That don't sound like a plan. You know what I mean? There's no plan. This guy is content with staying home and doing the household chores. He is a modern man in that concept. He has no problem with that. And I knew it from the time when they had just moved into the apartment a couple of episodes back. And he was like overcompensating by cooking all that breakfast and this and that. And how do you like this? And how do you like that? I knew it. I was like, this guy he wants to deflect from having a job so that he's going to do all these things around the house. And I love how he tried to go to Noi and was like, I'm going to do all the cooking and cleaning. And she says, we can both do that. Because that's what happens in a your average household.
Mm-hmm.
So look, I'm not in his bank account. He might have a savings, but I called it a long time ago. That's not enough he's 38, 37 years old, whatever he is. No savings amount of money is going to be able to sustain a family. You need to replenish it. You need to constantly be feeding income especially they're at a point where they're trying to grow their family, right? She wants kids. They want kids together. You got to do that. And the stock market, you see this Russia-Ukraine, you see what it's doing to the stock market. So even the best investors, I don't even look at my 401k. I don't even look at my investments anymore because it just going to make you sad, right? This is what happens. So brother needs a job.
Listen, he needs a job
today
right now because the cloud is looking a little bit dusty. Now, listen, jokes aside, obviously, but no, you're actually right, bro. And we called this from earlier on in the episodes, right? Because I think also as well, like I said, from last season, I kind of learned, as well, like, I missed my mark with the 401k in Colombia. Okay, I missed the mark with that one, and this season I was not going to be outdone. Not when someone is telling you, I'm asking for a simple plan, and you refuse to give the plan. We're now on episode 10. We do not have a plan. Right? Up until now, sir, she does not have a plan as to how we're going to execute this. You're telling me, and do you know what was even more scary? He said, two things. He said, have you been financially hampered by this? And then he said, do you doubt my ability to make money? Sir, I would like to see it. Yeah, I like to see it. Okay. All right, because you're talking about do you doubt my plan? Yes, I do doubt your ability to make money. She should have told the truth. I do, because we haven't done it yet. You want me to have blind faith in you making money? Okay, all right. In a generation where men, okay, can lie about anything. Let's be honest. This is not the 1950s where this is now 2022 where people can really do some mad things. So I'm looking for this plan, and then the part that killed it the most, bro. This is when I realized, this person is not serious. He said, but if I go back to work, then the cooking, the cleaning will be affected. Oh, so no longer it's about your entrepreneur skills, because that's what you said a few episodes ago. If I go back to work, then I can't focus on my creative. Now it's not, if I go back to work, then the house won't be remain clean. I won't be able to cook as well. Oh, so now we've shifted it now. It's not your creative thing. The house won't remain clean. And then he went on to say, oh, but I'm yet to see, you chip in, so I don't have faith in that. So you don't have faith in her chipping in, but you wanted to have faith in a plan that's not existing. You're moving mad. Tell me, Sean, what are you saying?
Yeah, 100%. And I think when, because he saw how important it was to Noy, and I think we've all seen up to this point that Steve is a really good communicator, right? So some folks are saying there's some app out there that he created. There's whatever. There's means that we just can't see in our traditional way of thinking, right? But where's the conversation around it? Where is the, I have a savings plan, Noy, we will definitely discuss this. This is what I have that's driving income. No, every time there's a conversation about him getting out to work or getting some type of job, it's a deflection and it's a conversation that goes in a different direction. And I'm sorry, normal communication, when someone doesn't address what your issue is, they're deflecting for whatever reason, right? So I don't know why we're filling in all of these gaps, because he could very easily address it in some kind of way, but he is choosing not to. He communicates very well about any and every other thing that he has a problem with. He very clearly discussed with her when she ghosted him and disappeared and was stonewalling. He laid it out to her in no uncertain terms and held her accountable for that. So I don't understand why he can't be accountable to this plan and to reassure her, because it's something that she's very concerned about. I don't get it. So to me, it screams deflection. It screams like, he just doesn't want to be held accountable. He wants to be a free spirit and wants to do what he wants to do, and doesn't want anybody to call him out for it. And that question that he posed, like, how have you been impacted by it this far? Sir, you're living in an apartment paid for by Lifetime. You guys have been together for 3 weeks. We're not concerned about right now, because right now is Fantasyland, right? The real world is what's the concern after decision day, when you guys are solely responsible for managing your marriage yourself. That's when the concern comes, because then there is no out. So we need to know these things now to set the stage for what's to come. So how the heck could he say that? That to me was like the worst thing he ever could say. Do you have to worry about it now? Of course not. Nobody's concerned about anybody's direct bills. They're not going to be impacted this early on in the process. So yeah, I'm kind of like over it right now. Say it or don't.
Bro, I'm with you, bro. 100%, I'm with you, bro. You're not lying. That's how I felt about the situation. It's like I'm looking at the situation. I'm like, we could have solved this issue simply by, if you got this kind of money and got this money that you got, right? You could have solved this issue, right? And here's my thing. I have to even look deeper now into, if you do have this money, I've got to look deeper as to why you didn't want to comfort her and let her know I got this handled. I've really got to question it. Do you know what I mean? Because as far as I'm concerned, this if you got this kind of money and you got a great work ethic, you know how to make money self-employed, right? Then the argument's going to be more about the fact that she wants you to work a traditional job versus the fact that you're making money self-employed. Then I can understand that there's an actual argument happening that she doesn't feel safe because she's used to traditional 9 to 5. You want a self-employed kind of job. But that's not the argument. The argument is you don't want to go to work at all, right? Because we are not seeing any of the finances right now. Right. And the mere fact that you're making points about the fact that, have you been financially impacted? Like you said, bro, we're not thinking about right now. And the mere fact that you're using that as an argument is a deflection, which means there's something not quite right. So whether you got, maybe you got the bank of dad, maybe that's what it is. You got bank of dad, you can tap in anytime you want and get a little money from dad, right? Because then I have to really think, if you had this money that you're saying that you're so comfortable that you cannot go to work, but you don't put her fears at rest, then I have a problem. Because now you're not even keeping your wife safe emotionally by just putting her mind at ease and going on, hey, I've got it handled. Don't worry about that. Instead, you're just saying, do you doubt my prowess to make money? No. Man, you can't. You're failing right now, man. So all of this. All of this, your friend coming and saying he can get a job just like that. You know what, fam? Now I'm even having to question it, bruv. Your friend might be one of those, might be out here doing what friends do best, which is chat absolute crud about you to make everyone make it look good. But the reality is, maybe you can't get a job. It's been 2 years, sir. Okay, COVID gone and went, and Ukraine coming. So, fam, we need you to get a job, a job. Go for it, Sean.
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, and this is more just like kind of some lightness to it too. Like I just know that women don't like to see men at home. So you are gonna get I don't care what he has. I mean, unless it's like kicking out six figures of income every year, it's going to be very hard for her to look at him and see him at home every day, and pretty much cooking and cleaning. It's just, I mean, maybe once kids come into play and they decide who's better suited to stay home with the kids, sometimes in unique situations it works where the man gets to stay home, but it don't work. I'm just saying it just does not work. I remember I had gotten laid off from my job, right? I had gotten laid off from my job. They had let me know 3 months in advance of when the layoff was going to happen, right? So I was still on salary, still benefits, full benefits, and the layoff was coming 3 months down the line. I had my wife was sending me at the time emails for jobs. I'm like, babe, I got it. I got it. I got a full year severance coming ahead. I'm still employed. I just don't have to show up to work. But she was not having it. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like a running joke in our household because I'm like, babe, I need 2 weeks to just digest the fact that, I got laid off from my job, right? But eventually, of course, I got a job, enough time, everything worked out. But I just remember those funny things and her getting up and going to work, and she was like looking at me, and she was like, "Oh." And then sometimes I get like this honey-do list, honey do this, honey do that. I need this, I need that, and then you just bite the bullet. And I'm like, but in my head, I'm like, babe, nothing's impacted. The finances are still coming in. I'm still paying more than my fair share of the bills. Nothing's interrupted. But the mere fact that I was home and she wasn't, it becomes an issue. And if Noi is how I think she is, she's not going to like him just sitting around. She's not finding any pleasure remotely in him doing all of these things because she said it before. Because he planted that seed. I think it was 2 episodes ago when he said to her, "Oh, who did the cooking and cleaning at your house?" She said, "Both of my parents did." So that kind of like knocked him down a peg because he was going to try to sell himself again. Like, okay, well, I can take care of that while you take care of this. And then he tried it again. And she was like, no, why can't we both do that? So I just feel like for whatever reason, and let's say on the mere small side of things, like if he has all of this money, then it screams trust issues. It screams, just ignoring somebody else's feelings and some type of emotional manipulation if he's just leaving it out there. So either way, he's withholding and it's problematic.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing what you're saying now, bro. And it's it's unfortunate, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm almost in the back of my mind hoping the same way I was hoping with same way I was kind of hoping with Gil from last season, bro. And he just every time I was hoping he just let me down, bro. To the point that man's doing Venmo and not even sending the money on time. Like, the ones where I'm really hoping as a brother you doing the right thing, and I wanna believe you. But I've learned from Gil, and I'm not about to put myself in a position. I'm not standing up for you again. If you don't show me the money, I can't believe. You know what I mean? It's honestly like I said again. Even later on, we saw them obviously connecting on a sexual level and trying to do all that stuff there. My biggest thing is that just remember, bro, as well, Steve. How she can get when she wants to get her way. If she feels like of course, she knows that it hurt you the last time, but if she feels like you definitely now not trying to go to work, it's a year now down the line, will that behavior surface again? Oh, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, hell yeah. And sir, nobody needs you to stay home to cook the spaghetti. And this should have been discussed. It's like he didn't discuss this, He just took upon himself, I'm going to stay home. And I'm going to cook and I'm going to clean. Rather than discussing this with her and saying, is it okay if I stay and stay home and cook clean? Are you comfortable with that? That should have been a discussion because unfortunately, what you're going for is a gender reverse role. So you have to discuss that. It's not like when with men, if I'm like, is it all right if I go to work? You don't ask that question if you're all right going to go to work. You're expected to go to work. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I think in this aspect, he should have really had a conversation with her, let her know. No wonder why he was so aggressive with the noodles. No wonder why he was pissed when the noodles got so soggy. Because I'm cooking. That's my domain, and you're out here doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So yes, of course you'll get vexed about that. Now it makes sense why she disappeared for 24 hours. She had to really go and think. My man is out here telling me about noodles and hasn't got a job, and he may be jobless after a year, and we have to pay bills, and I'm gonna pay it because she let him know as well. Like, I don't want that dynamic. I do not want to have to pay the bills, like all the bills. Like, I'm not trying to be a breadwinner. So again, he didn't really reassure her again to say, "Hey, you're not gonna be. I'm gonna handle the bills." I didn't really get that energy from him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, man, bro. It's a bit mad. It's a bit mad. Any more thoughts on him?
I mean, listen, they seem to be connecting well. He told her he loved her. They're developing their intimate life, and I think that's going to be a big distraction. They're having these conversations about, oh, let's get it in outside and outdoors. Noise. It's just she gonna get caught up. She gonna get caught up in that, and that's gonna be a major distraction because we keep circling back to this same conversation. So, and this happens in relationships, especially, listen, they're married. Of course they can, be intimate with each other and have sex. But what's happening when the issue that's really concerning doesn't get addressed? It's never gonna go away. And he's just going to keep using different things, and she's going to keep trying to fall into the love part, the sex part. And then are we ever going to get to, what the real concern is? So I like them as a couple, though. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, they get on. It's just a financial aspect, that needs to be dealt with. And the fact that nobody really knows about his financial aspects. Even when I search Google and see if any articles come up, no one really knows, bro. It's an up in the air thing. And for me, it's probably likely he has not got the bank account that you think he has. So all those people that were defending him, they really are holding on like we were last season, holding on to Gil, thinking he gonna come through and they're gonna let you down like Gil let me down last season, okay? And he really did let me down. I'm still hurt by that. So yeah, definitely hear that as well. Let's talk about another set of people then. We've done Noy and Steve. Let's talk about, obviously, Lindsay and Mark the Shark. Because what is going on there, bruv? Like, I don't know, did you watch the after party?
Absolutely.
What was your thoughts?
So my issue with Lindsay is there's no thought to what she says, or if there's thought, it's not like you don't think about how the other person's gonna feel. She just shoots off at the mouth, and if she doesn't get what she wants, it's almost like a level of vindictiveness, like she's going after you. And the conversation that she was having, I don't know if that was on Skype or Zoom or whatever with her friend, I was like, that is super disrespectful. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, how do you, and I get it, that whatever was happening, it sounds like Mark wasn't, it was a selfish moment when they were, being intimate. And I totally get that that's not the way to, to get down, right? Especially in a new situation. I mean, Mark, you gotta be putting out your A game. It's too early to be falling off and, doing, quickies with somebody that you're just getting close to. But I feel like he's like trying, but for whatever reason, she's chipped away at his confidence and his manhood, that brother's falling short. Mark the Shark's turning into a goldfish when it comes to the bedroom with Lindsay, and she's putting all the business out on Front Street. So, I just feel like at the end of the day, she needs to be better at communicating what her problems are with him, and do it in a sensitive, delicate way. Because even Dr. V had to call her out, right? You're being rude. She was like, do you want to have a healthy sexual relationship? And she was like, yeah. She was like, well, you can't talk about him like this, because she's like, he can't handle her and all these things. It's like, come on.
Apparently she
She
had big
totally
fish.
slaughtered the guy.
So apparently she had big fish as well, innit?
Please, all these high value men that were chasing her, chasing her around town, all these engineers that were doing well, and she's used to being treated right. Where are they now, ma'am?
In their high value apartments, that's what they are. Yeah, I hear you, bro. Like, oh, Lindsay, man, just the way she talks, man, she just doesn't have no self awareness. She's just like, oh. So I think watching them on the after party when they were next to each other was so funny because even O recognized we're quite similar. You don't have no barriers to the way you talk. Like there is no stops. There's no stopgap to the way that you talk. You're not realizing that your words can hurt the other person. Do you know what I mean? I will say, if Mark is saying he wants an emotional connection, you giving her 2 minutes of the best time of her life is not gonna cut it. Okay. Now he may have been a little bit, affected in confidence level. He may have been affected by, the fact that she's been overly critical, and that can create an environment where you feel nervous and anxious. And unfortunately, your little man downstairs, can't handle that stress. You know what I'm saying? So it's understandable that unfortunately, such an environment can create such an adverse effect in your stroke game. But apparently he picked it up because she said later on when they were doing the those ribbon things from the sky or whatever they're doing, like it's a kung fu movie of swords and that. She said that she's orgasming now. So I guess he's back. I don't know if that's her being kind or whether, you know what I mean? Like, how do you go? Because I'm even trying to think of myself. You've gone from 2 minutes not ever doing anything and previously saying he can't please you to suddenly now he can please you and you get an orgasm. It's a big jump, you know what I mean? So I don't know if she's telling all the truth there, or maybe she's been capping the whole entire time. Not exactly sure, 100%. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it wasn't 2 minutes. Maybe was she just capping again? Maybe she wants to hurt him and say something that's going to be hurting of him. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. Like it's a bit mad in that aspect. What are you saying, Sean?
Yeah, I just think her love language is the D. So you give Lindsay the D, right?
She did say it.
She's a happy camper, and everything is all gravy, right? If you can't have an off day with her. So it seems like the first time they were intimate, because she said she's like the first time it was good for a first time. So I think like whatever was going on between the two of them, I think there was definitely sound like she doesn't strike me as a liar per se.
Yeah,
I think she's a lot of things. I don't think she's a liar. I think it's just inconsistent. And I think for Mark, he seems like a sensitive guy. So for him, I don't think he can get past those moments that they've had where she's overly, critical or overly, coming at him hard. So he's trying. So that's why you see the gaps where they don't have sex for 2 weeks, right? And then he tries again. He's trying to, get back in there, but I think it's in his head. That's what I think something's in his head, and then he gets in a moment. So that's why it was just a quickie the last time before he went to the gym, and that's all he could do. But she doesn't help because she's like, hey, bro, what are you doing? And then she whips out the toys and starts doing it herself. It's kind of like, one more shot to his ego. So I think like they just need to have better communication, but I don't think she's a liar. That's the one thing. She probably says too much and she's way too unfiltered.
I agree. All right, let me just add V to the conversation. Hey V, you right?
Yes. Hey, how you guys doing? Let me put down the volume on the I want echo. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. What's your thoughts on Mark the Shark and Lindsay?
I think Lindsay is telling the truth. I think he was not delivering in the bedroom, so she had to finish it herself. I think her saying that she orgasmed later was total cap. It didn't happen. I think they're going to end up staying together because they match each other's crazy with all the, trying out the little gift box of goodies that they were doing and living it up with the Nerf guns and everything. But he's not meeting her. He's not meeting her needs sexually at all. I mean, it's still burned in my brain what she said about his, I don't know if I can say the words, but what he said about down there. So I do not think she is satisfied at all. And as for the high valued men that were chasing her before, I work in that same field that they work in. And if the way she speaks and the way she carries herself, nobody would wife that. So she might be bragging on the high value people, but you can't bring that person to a corporate gathering doing all that. So I think she's too much for him. You can't trust her. She can't hold water. And I honestly feel like her and Olajuwon are a better match. To me, they should have been matched together. Like, I honestly see that. And yes, I did see the after party that they're hanging out on the roof together, but I totally can see them being together and terrorizing each other together. That's what I see happening. So maybe after everything's done, they can hook up, because I don't think Mark is gonna pick her on decision day unless he really just wants a wife, period. And they did allude to that in the introduction shows, that he just wanted to be married. That would be the only reason he would choose her.
Okay. No, I love that for you. Thank you. Sean, what's your thoughts to that?
Yeah, I totally hear that part, V, and I think, like, yeah, definitely. I don't see her blending in any type of environment where, she's gonna be, have to be social with other people and get along, because she couldn't even do that with the other couples. They were going out on they were heading to the honeymoon and having fights before they even got on the plane.
Exactly.
So I can't see her mixing and mingling in different environments where people, where she has to get along with different people and socialize, like with the engineer or at a corporate event. I don't see it. She couldn't even get along at the bachelorette party. She was already talking behind Alyssa's back. I mean, not that Alyssa's anybody's prize.
Don't get me started on her.
But she was going after her so early on. So I just think, like, yeah, no. And I think a couple of people were trying to figure out the episode. That was the bowling episode when she said, his gonads were small when she was screaming. She was screaming in the bathroom. So I mean, I wonder, has Mark seen this at this point, or does he even know she said these things? Because, man, it's rough. And you really see Olajuwon and Lindsay together? I think they could be friends. I don't know if they could be a couple.
I totally see it. She would be cooking and cleaning and I'm not saying that Katina can't, but putting it down in the bedroom beyond that same wild stuff he's on. I mean, I think they would be amazing together. I think they're a better match. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
I don't think you look at her twice, but I definitely agree that they have the same energy.
Yeah.
Definitely the same energy. No, definitely. I mean, I think we're also with Mark and Lindsay. What's so interesting about that situation is, because I think someone said, obviously, why would he continue to have intimacy? Sometimes you try to do it. You try to kind of hopefully, if I do this, maybe it will make things better. Sometimes you almost forget. You almost kind of make your mind forget what has just happened and say, actually, maybe I'll try again. I'll go again and see what happens. But the problem here is that if you don't feel emotionally safe, it really does affect your game. Like if your game is not on point already, if you're not confident in your game already, if your stroke is not on point. You know what I mean? If it's not consistently before you met this woman, now when she says certain things, you will have a suffering of confidence. Do you know what I mean? Because you know that, okay, maybe I'm not always, it's not always on point. So if what she's saying, it could be right. And that makes you highly critical of yourself. That makes you want to think about everything you're doing in that moment. That can make you be put off your game. You know what I mean? So, definitely that won't help foster an arena for intimacy on the sexual level to really be, a blessing for both people. It would make it very difficult to. So, unfortunately, she needs to learn that she can't speak this way if you want a positive result. The trouble is she's so used to doing that, right? And then she's got a man who really isn't, strong enough to say, hey, look, that that ain't it. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't gonna do that. It then just creates this continuous cycle where she just keeps on doing what she's doing, moving mad. Dr. Viviana did check her, but even when she checked her, you could see Lindsay was still trying to come back a little bit as well, trying to deflect again onto Mark. She too, like Jasmina, lacks effective self-awareness on how their behavior affects others, and instead of actually receiving it, they deflect on someone else and project on someone else. So that's gonna be a very difficult relationship to solve. You know what I mean? If she thinks that O and Katina are tough, I need Dr. Viv to know that freaking hell. Mark the Shark and Lindsay, yeah, that's a miracle waiting to happen. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Mark and Lindsay?
I think that she pretty much, her love language is, well, she likes to give acts of service, but she's going to hold it against you, right? So she shows her nurturing side, but she's always going to use it against him. And he's just tired of running his life, doing the stuff with his mom, doing everything that he needs to do to support everybody. So supposedly that was one of the reasons that they matched them, because he supports everybody else and nobody supports him. But if every time you support me, you come back and throw it in my face. I mean, I was like horrified at what she was when she was talking about his income, calling the bed bugs roaches. Like her mouth is completely reckless. He can't have seen that footage and just act like everything is okay again. If he did see it and everything is okay again, he really needs to go get some help, because his self-esteem is in the gutter. Because no self-respecting man would come back after that. Yeah.
I'm hearing you. Short and others, yeah.
Yeah, I think the other interesting thing about her is that she likes words of affirmation. And normally people that like words of affirmation can give the words of affirmation, right? Because she was so upset when she felt like Mark was being overly critical of her. She was so upset when she felt like Mark wasn't affirming her for all the things that she did and how she sacrificed, right? She really, had a meltdown. And in a lot of instances, we agreed with her, especially when they were, he was supposed to be having that romantic dinner with her the day of the during the honeymoon. And then he just laid on her, all the things that he didn't like about her, right? It was kind of like a bait and switch moment. And she really got angry with him. And I think it's just so odd to me that she doesn't understand how to execute and give the language that she likes to receive. Even when she talked to the friend, and the friend was like, he's a pleaser and I'm surprised, and he probably wants to slow it down a little bit and get a connection with you. And she was like, yeah, no, I don't have time for all that. And it's like, well, but you want to be dealt with in that gentle, loving kind of way when it comes to being affirmed. Where are you giving that? And I just think it's just a little, it's kind of similar too. And it's funny that, her and Jasmina are similar in that way, because they're saying the things that they want from their partner, but yet they're doing the exact same thing that they're saying is being done to them, and then they're not giving that back to their spouse either. So it's just really, really strange. Like they just are in a cloud about how they show up.
You've not told no lies. You told no lies. Okay, shift it from then. Let's talk about O and Katina, because that's wild up in here. Sean, why are you making that face, bro?
Because I know that was a trigger moment when he got to yelling and carrying on. There's nothing. If we don't lay out Olajuwon, it's gonna be a problem. The ladies were they're done with him at this point. If anything we say that's remotely on his side,
yeah, we're gonna be bothered. We're gonna be triggered. I'm sorry. I'm waiting.
Say it, Sean.
See, look, Grace Mercy said, we waiting. So yeah, he is definitely out of line. It is emotionally abusive, verbally abusive. Yeah, he does. I just don't understand why he goes after her the way he goes after her. And I definitely leave room for there's probably some things that we don't see, but just the way that he goes after her, and she has so much patience with him. you know, because he's such a high energy, over the top kind of guy. You know, he came out the gate saying he has ADHD. We know that comes with, you know, nervous energy, hyper energy. And she just seems to be so patient and so loving with him. And I just don't understand why he's letting his frustrations boil up so much that he's just, you know, attacking her. So yeah, he has to get better at that. And I really think that Dr. Viviana did a great job with him and just trying to reset this expectation, because he definitely is off, and he said it from the beginning. It's like an either something that he didn't have growing up or something that he saw growing up, where he just feels like a wife has to do this, and if she doesn't do it just the way I think she should do it, then it's problematic and she's not loving me. And it's like, bro, you know, people are going to be people, and you have to give people room and space to be themselves, just like you are yourself. And I'm sure there's things about you, you know, like all of us in relationships, there's things that are going to be annoying to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he just sees himself like, I've accomplished this. I have my own home. I paid off my student loans. So I'm the perfect catch. No, there's still things for you to work on. There's a lot of things for you to work on. Your interpersonal skills, how you communicate, big opportunities for you. And you're going to ruin your relationship because you're just going after her and beating her down with your words.
Oui.
Olajuwon is looking for a Stepford wife. I mean, a lot of people probably don't remember that movie. He wants a robot that stays at home, dressed perfectly, have everything cooked, has no personality. He has her pretty trained already. In the fact that he says that she rolls her eyes and clucks her tongue and gives him an attitude, but she makes sure to do it when the camera is not there. So she's already trained enough to not embarrass him in public. But honestly, I was very, very offended by the scene where she did the movie night in the candy. She's fighting so hard to be chosen by this man who I do not believe is on the same level that he thinks that he is on. I think he has an overinflated sense of self-worth. Yes, you own a house. Yes, you're a waste operator or whatever. Like I said, I'm an engineer, so I get what he does. And it's great, but you are not better than this lady. You finally made her cry, I guess. So I guess you met your mission. I don't know why you want to make her cry, and you only known her like 3 weeks. Why is crying the only way that she can show vulnerability to you? She's been patient. I would have been cussed him out long time ago. Like I would have went off already. So I think she's doing way better than a lot of us would do. And it's because she wants to be chosen on decision day. But what exactly are you trying to be chosen for? And the other thing that he said that was super offensive, when he was like, if I don't see you working, then it didn't happen because she works from home. Like, are you serious right now? Does her check show up? Like, is she hiding the check? Is she pretending to be on work and on Instagram hanging out, TikTok? Like, you're really trying her. And she has the patience of Job, because like I said, I would have went off already, especially on that particular man. I would have gone off. So she's better than me.
Yeah. Man, it's sad, man. I think you know, how do I say this? I think with he's I'm trying to be graceful. So I want to go, I'm trying to be graceful the way I'm dealing with him. But just the way that he goes at Katina is really the biggest problem. Like, Katina's got the same issue. Like, she's verbally abusive, and he too is verbally abusive because he starts going out with a tone, a demeanor, and he will hammer this point that you almost ask yourself, like, what do you really want to achieve? Like, do you actually want her to cook? Do you want to? Because we got to the end of it, and today he said, I don't expect you to cook and clean every day. So what the frick are we even arguing about then, bro? So what are we, what, you know what I'm saying? And so then I'm trying to figure out, then, okay, so what's the link for you with cooking and cleaning? I think he kind of said, like, either he does it he brings it up to kind of see if, because he wants to, I think he said he brings it up because it's the only way he's able to bring up about something about her showing that she cares or something like that, because he doesn't get that energy back. And I said, But how does that get you? Again, that's a warped mentality that Jasmina has with the whole "I'm gonna fight you every time," and when you fight me, when you fight me, then I'll realize that you actually care for me. It's that warped sense of reality when it comes to someone showing you that they care. It's the cooking and the cleaning, right? Um, but the way you're driving the point every single time is what's just really annoying for me, because I'm looking at it like, bro, like you don't need to do all of that. Like she actually wants to do those things, but you want to force her to do those things. You know. So oh, did I say Katina? I meant Lindsay. Sorry guys, I said the wrong name. I meant Lindsay being verbally abusive and O being verbally abusive. So yeah, it's like why'd you have to drive the point so harshly in that particular way? And that's what makes me think there's an abusive nature where it comes from whatever insecurity you've got going on, that it won't stop at just the cooking and the cleaning. The cooking and cleaning will be the first step, but you will expect perfection once more again in another area. The way she dresses will now have to be perfect. The way she has her hair will need to be how she's perfect. I even noticed when she did the movie night, and I don't know why I just felt it. I said when he said, "Oh, you know what? Thank you for the movie night." Da, 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 da. And then he was like, "You look so lovely." And I in my head I said, "I know this is a genuine compliment, but in the back of my mind I'm like, I bet he wants her, like, even when they're doing simple things like when you're just at home chilling, he wants her to be all dolled up." And in my head, I'm like, bro, this cannot last. Like, you cannot last. And your excuse of, well, you're at home already, so you expect to. Was she not working? The misconception behind that is that obviously because she's working from home, that she's not working. You know what I mean? I totally get it. He said on after party, and this part, I will always. I said that I can hold two thoughts in my head. Baby, if the house is unclean when I come home, okay, and you don't know how to cook, you know how to clean, and I come home and the house is messy, that makes no sense for me. The house should not be messy. There's only two of us. There's no kids. It's just two of us. So if I come back in the house is messy, that makes no sense for me. That tells me that, yeah, that's an area you need to work on, Katina. But again, how would I address that? Am I driving the stake into a vampire's chest? No, I'm not. I'm like, I'm dealing with a human being here. So for me, when I'm seeing some of the behaviors, and the part that really done it for me, and I'll let you guys jump in a second now, is him saying this line. He said it the previous episode. He gets choked up and he goes, you know, it's because I care about you. And then he starts. That line is scary for me. Simply because that's usually the line that happens after you've punched somebody, hit them, verbally, emotionally abused them, and you're like, I'm so sorry. But you know, I only do this because I care about you. And it's the same kind of thing he did. He berated her and then he said, all teared up, but you know what? I care about you. So then I started getting scared because I'm like, that is the language of when someone's being abusive and they know they're being abusive. They then start making excuses for the behavior and they start saying, but you know, I care about you. And he said this the last episode and I was like, sir, I'm not liking where it's going. You know what I mean? I'm not liking where it's going, though. We're going to need to look at this. So yeah. Sorry, yeah, someone jump back in. My bad. Yeah, V, do you want to jump back in and then Sean jump after?
Yeah, him saying he cared about her was very triggering to me. It definitely sounded like something that when somebody did something that was abusive, that they're trying to make up for it. But I really hate the fact that he's trying to mold her. He's trying to raise her, and he's using different things for discipline. So lack of affection, harsh words. This might be inappropriate, but I mean, to me, they should have already smashed. And I'm not understanding what's happening, like what is going on. I know they just met, so I get it. But all the bravado, all the stripping at the reception, it seemed like he was just peacocking and everything. But you're not showing me. You didn't bring it when we got to the house. I mean, what is happening? Do you not? I understand why she feels like he doesn't find her attractive. And it probably didn't help. I know you said this is probably not a good reason, but probably doesn't help because she's the first Black woman he ever dated. So he may have a thing going on. And he's always telling her she's pretty. He said it several times that he thinks that she looks good. but you're not showing it through actions that you find me attractive. He did the little thing in the kitchen when she did what he wanted her to do. Let's stay home like I want to do. Let's eat candy like I like. Okay, you did well. Pat on the head. You look cute. I mean, you know, that is basically your reward for falling in line for what I want to do. So I'm not here for I'm not here for him at all.
Sean, appreciate V.
Yeah, I think like when I go back to previous episodes, and when they were on the honeymoon and they were doing the I think it was the horseback riding. And then when they were working out, and he has this idea of testing her to bring out the best in her. And I think he sees himself as her coach. He sees himself as the one that's going to, he has this like warped notion. And I mean, there's a little small part of him that I can see like there's like I don't know what it is, but he does seem to like genuinely care for her, but it's so misguided and warped the way he feels like he has to go about this relationship. And that's why I like question is, where did he get this notion of how a marriage works, how two people are to function in relationships? Like, I think he's either just making it up, he's watching, some YouTube, red pill content creators, and then getting his notion of this is what I'm supposed to do, because it all just seems very performative. Right? I need to test you, and we working out, and you got to take this serious. It's like, bro, like what are you talking about? You seem like a character in a TV show. And he seems to genuinely care for her, but then he just goes after it in such a crazy kind of like off base kind of way. He's very misguided. And then the last part is when they finally had that date night, and he's also very immature. He thinks he's mature. He thinks he's got everything under control, but he's very immature. And I think as much sexual experience as quote unquote he may have, which I think some of that could be capped too, but whatever. He doesn't have relationship experience, right? So it's quantity over quality. So he doesn't know how to get the best out of a woman. He doesn't know how to communicate with women. He just goes after it in this very aggressive kind of way, thinking like she's his gym partner that he's going to motivate to get to the next rep. So he's off base. And the other thing that clued me in that he was not as experienced as he was when he was giving her that massage and rubbing down her stomach. And he was like, "Ooh, I got close to the toot toot." I'm like, bro, how old are you? The toot toot. What is the toot toot? So I think like he needs help. And I think Dr. Viviana also called that part out. It's like this archaic caveman nature of what a marriage is and how men should be and how we should interact. And then on the other hand, he wants to cry. So he's just a conundrum to me. So I'll end it there.
Yeah. And someone asked obviously about how can he use sex to control, but it's more about the fact that he is in control of when he rewards sex with her. So he actually's already kind of done that a little bit. We kind of spoke about it when they were having the previous argument. I think it was the last episode actually. He kind of spoke about her deserving certain things from him, because when she cooks and cleans, then she would have basically deserved action of him being more emotional, be loving, more caring. And I was like, okay, so potentially the sex issue also is a case of I reward you with this when you show me, quote unquote, when you vulnerable, when you open and that. But I don't think that is I don't think that's a genuine thing where it's like, oh, you know what, I'm really holding off because I think I want to get to know you more. I genuinely do think it's part of the control aspect. And I say that because we started off this whole thing, like you said, Sean, as well. The gym scene was a eye opener. He actually pushed her to the limit to try and get her to react, to test her. Like, you just have to deep it. Why am I trying to test you? right? You know, I always say this. I always like when women say, "Oh, I gotta test a man, see how far I can push him." Like, why would you want to do that? And I'm looking at, like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to push your partner to see what they're going to do? Why are we in a space to do that? Right? And again, it screams insecurity for me, and it screams control, and it screams power as well, because he knew exactly what he was doing. That now I have to look at everything of your behavior as very conscious. You getting hot and heavy at the horses, speaking to her rough, whilst on the horses, and kind of what you want to see if she's gonna react. You want to see how much she's gonna take, again. So it's like every single time we seem to have an argument, are you trying to test her when you say certain things? Partly yes, because actually Lindsay does the exact same thing. Those mean things are testers. Let's see how much you can take. Right? It's the exact same thing. And it's abusive. It's just straight up what it is. It's abusive when you do that. I can't give him a pass for that. Yeah, I can't give him a pass for that. Should they still be together? At this length, no. Because same with Mark the Shark and Lindsay. If you're abusive, you shouldn't be in that relationship. I just don't be seeing comebacks for that, because you don't deserve the right to be in a relationship because you're abusive. You're not now just making mistakes. You are now trying to exert manipulation purposely for your own purposes, and that for me is annoying. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens in the next episode. As well, because it looks like fireworks are really kicking off. I don't know what happened with her phone. I don't know if there's an ex texting her or messaging her, or whether it's just, I bet it's probably just a friend who probably said something and he's probably seen it. You know what I mean? I'm not inclined to believe it's an ex reaching out to her and saying some mad things to her. I just can't. I don't know. I can't see that. But hey, things have happened before, and what it is. Anyone else have any thoughts on Ola and Katina?
Yeah, I'm excited to see her finally, because he said on the after party like that, she has another side that we don't see, and that she knows how to say what she needs to say off camera. So I'm interested to see her, let him know exactly how she feels, and get into it. The other thing is, it's definitely giving some possessiveness now. Whether there was something inappropriate going on there or not, I would be interested to see what it is. But that level of possessiveness is dangerous. I think it's something that as men we need to understand, that whether it's a girlfriend or a wife, whatever happens, we don't own. And I think that's something that we have to learn. I had to learn it. I mean, I wasn't probably as highly possessive as he is, but you just have to. You don't own somebody, right? And she did have a life before you, and I don't know what was on that screen. If it was something highly inappropriate, it does need to be addressed. But you need to get off of this "my wife" stuff, right? And those words, those possessive words, it just is just going to fuel the rage. And the more that he says that, the more it's gonna, he's building a scenario in his mind to be angry and justified in his anger, because he believes she belongs to him, and that belonging means certain things need to happen, and you got to let that go if you want to be in a healthy, functional relationship. People don't belong to us, they don't own us, and their actions, whether right or wrong, we don't control that. So he's got big issues in that department that he's got to deal with.
Do you have anything to add as well? No? Love that, Sean, as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to her standing up for herself, but I'm still not convinced she's gonna take it where it needs to go. I'm not saying she need to like fire off on him or anything, but I don't think she's gonna, because she's like I said, her main goal is to be chosen at the end of the day. So she's only gonna push it so far. And as for something coming through her phone, yeah, everybody was supposed to shut everything down before they got into the process, but everybody knows there's always somebody lingering. It's been 3 weeks. He shouldn't have taken off the way he did. All he had to say is, "Hey, you need to shut that down. You're married now." Don't do that, Coach. You want the real? That's the real. I mean, She went and got married at first sight. She said she had a F buddy. She gave all that information before she came on there. And the F buddy probably like, where have you been? You disappeared for 3 weeks. I'm sure she didn't tell the F buddy I'm about to go on married at first sight. So anybody, and she said she liked to party. He said he liked to stay in the house. She liked to go out, and she was on the party scene. That could have been anybody. She needs to shut it down, but I think he's doing too much. One minute I'm not good enough, I'm not woman enough to be your wife. Then next thing you're claiming me as your wife because you see somebody else might want me. You're not giving me anything, but you think somebody else might want to give me something. So here you come beating on your chest with your 3 gold chains. No, you need to sit down somewhere and we'll shut it down and act like grown-up, mature adults and shut every door that we had before we got into this marriage and skip off into the sunset if we so choose to.
I honestly hope it's just a friend. I
hope so too.
It's just a friend. I don't want to have to address a video. I don't have to address the episode where if there is an F buddy arising, and again, I'm knowing how O may react. It could have been he might have just said, "Hey, big head," you know what I mean, like a pop up. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, she might have not even because her face looked. Like it didn't look like she was in a mad. It didn't look like she was on a mad list. It looked like, fam, you're kind of berating me for this thing. And I'm like, don't know what to do, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I really hope it's not one of those moments because that makes it very difficult. It gets a bit blurry when that happens. Someone said I don't blame Katina if she cheated on him. No, let's not do that now, baby. Okay. Yeah, I definitely would. I'm intrigued to see what's gonna happen next week. You know what I mean? But then it reminds me a little bit of like the Woody Armani. I mean, I remember it was Woody and Armani. They tried to do that little thing where there was like, oh, Woody was doing a little something with someone, and when the episode came about, it was the fact that somebody had messaged him, and that was it. And he gave over his phone over to her, and she looked at the phone, and they realized it was nothing. So, I'm hoping it's just not one of those kind of things where they just hyped up a bit more. And what we see her firing off, it's got nothing probably to do with that phone thing. It's probably something else completely. The good thing about that clip I saw was that O wasn't like trying to go towards her, he was running away. So he wasn't trying to engage and get physical or anything like that. He was running away. So that's a positive because it's not getting to a physical. So, but yeah, definitely looking like a mad thing on their part. So, all right, cool. If no one else got anything to say, we'll shift it to the main event. We'll shift it to before we do, I just want to see what your thoughts are. On the after party, Mark the Shark is messaging Alyssa. What the frick? And I heard that she's on the roof. What is going on? Why is she on the roof? I want to know why she's on the roof. Why is she begging it like so much to be? You didn't want to love your husband. You are out the show. Why are you begging it? Why are you suntanning on the top of the roof? Why have you built a hut on the top of the roof? I don't get this refugee business that you're doing at the top of the roof. So someone talk to me. Why is Mark the Shark messaging her? Okay. Why is Alyssa on the top of the roof? Talk to me.
I have a theory. Y'all could laugh all y'all. I'm convinced that Alyssa is homeless. She might be living on that roof. I don't know. I'm convinced that she's homeless, allegedly. Because she was fighting way too hard to get in the apartment. I understand meeting people and wanting to hang out, but obviously she thought this was the real world or whatever she thought this was, and she was coming to make friends. Yes, you didn't like Dad Bod, Chris, whatever. Okay, keep it moving. You have, I'm sure you say you're well off. You have all these prospects and everything. Why are you fighting so hard to be in an apartment? 1, 2, why are you hanging around so much? And Mark the Shark knows that Lindsay and Alyssa have straight beef. Every time, from the time they interacted at the bachelorette party or whatever, there was always heat. That's how I figured out that Jasmina didn't really like Lindsay, because when Lindsay started talking trash about Alyssa, Jasmina called her out on the after party. So there's constant beef. If I had a dude and we were together and this girl had beef with me, and now you're hanging out on the roof and she's not even on the show anymore, she's not taping, Why are you here? Why are you here? Hopefully it's not another, what was that, Bow and what was the name of that man, Lord? I forgot. That they're not hooking up, because I think Lindsay would go just completely crazy because she already doesn't like this girl, period. So that would be a reason for her to put hands. I could see that. But I think Alyssa's homeless. Allegedly.
Sean.
Yeah, I think she just is an attention-seeking person. And from everything that I saw about Alyssa, is she just likes to be in the mix and she loves attention. And I think it's to the point where even if it's negative attention, she likes it. And that's why she wants to be part of this whole process and continue to, chop it up with the other people. And then remember, Steve is really the one that has the tattoo that her psychic told her about. So she probably sussing out the situation like, all right, how's this going on with Noy? Because that's really the dude she wants. So she might be hoping for them to fall apart so she can slip in there. But in all seriousness, I think like she really is a deluded person to, after the horrific process she went through, right? Why wouldn't you just want to be you should want to be as far away from the whole thing as you can possibly be, but still showing up. And Mark, definitely wrong road, Mark. Why are you reaching out to her? Why are you checking on her? She doesn't need to be checked on by anybody. Leave her be to her rescue dogs and whatever else she does. Let them console her. You don't need to do that. You got your own issues. And this is where sometimes I kind of understand where Lindsay is coming from, like with Mark's behavior, because it's like, if you're supposed to be, that's your wife, you guys are together making a go at it. How do you have time to sit and entertain entertain Alyssa? Like, why should she just helped you. This woman just helped you move out of your place, bed bug infected. You got all this drama going on with a landlord. You're saying your life is not in a shambles, but it's definitely not showing stability right now. Why are you adding more toxicity into the situation? And that speaks to some of the other things that his friends said, like about him, like he just jumps into these relationships and goes all in and is ready to live with the person in a few months. It's like, why are you investing yourself in somebody that you don't even know Alyssa, and what you know of her isn't good? So for me, his judgment is off. Definitely, he just wants to be everybody's friend. And he's not Mark the shark. I'm telling him, he's Mark the goldfish, because he's just flip-flopping and flappering all over the place. He's a goldfish out of the tank, just flip-flopping everywhere. He needs to just stay in your lane, focus on what you need to focus on. If you're going to be with Lindsay, be with Lindsay. If you need to talk to her and hold her accountable for the things she's doing wrong, do that. Don't be jumping over here and someplace else. That's what I think.
I definitely hear you. I think it's a violation, if I'm honest with you. Proper violation for you to message Alyssa when you know that there's beef between your wife and Alyssa. I don't care how much of a people pleaser you are. That's ridiculous. Like, the moment she messaged you, if it was that way, you should have told Lindsay straight. She should have known. Like, I'm not saying that you have to war Alyssa. I'm just saying that messaging her is going to be a problem. Right? What have you got to talk about? Not even just that. Your boy, who you say you liked, okay, was done dirty by her. What is there to talk about? What are you trying to redeem her for? This whole savior complex he's got going on, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. I am sick and tired of Mark the Shark's behavior in this aspect. He needs to fix up on that. It causes issues. That's not nice. That's not kindness. What you're doing is this niceness, which is shrouded in actually you just being wanting to be liked, and that causes issues. You know what I mean? You're overstepping boundaries. What are you doing messaging Alyssa? Like, what the heck? I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, you've got a type. You like shitty women. Just gonna be honest with you. Sorry, my language. You like women. That is so toxic. It's unreal. Right? Do you know what I mean? So I need the brother to fix up quick, fast, and ASAP Rocky. I don't agree with Lindsay's behavior. I can say it all the time. But where is your standards, Mark? Where is it? Because right now it's in the bin. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I need him to fix up. You know, it's annoying for me, to be honest. Okay, let's focus on the last uh, last point of the night. Michael and Jasmina. It's wild in them streets. Mm-hmm. Someone talk to me, baby. Don't you want me, baby?
Oh,
Go for
and
it.
just real quick before we go there,
Oh
shout
yeah,
out to Keisha, aka Rudy, on the after party. She is definitely,
holding it down.
I hate to see anybody lose their job. Shout out to
I
Jamie,
don't.
but
I love it.
she is she is getting in there, asking the right questions, holding people accountable. She is the voice of the people. I even like that they had Kevin on stage up there. Kojo, listen, we got to get you flued out. We got to get you flued out to the MAFS set. Come on.
You're talking live, sir. You're talking live. And when I saw Kevin, I said, "A time is coming."
That's it. Come on, MAFS
Season
is opening the
15.
doors.
Open it, Lord. Open it. No, I hear you 100%. Keisha is killing it. I won't lie to you. Every offense to Jamie, she wasn't great. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Yeah, no offense. Not that she wasn't good, she just wasn't great because she wasn't able to. Again, we talk about boundaries, right? She wasn't able to say, actually, what? I just need to challenge you on this. I need to check you on this. I need to ask you about this. And pressing with those deeper questions, she wasn't able to do that. And so in her bid of being nice, we didn't really get much from the contestants unless they were willing to share those things. But within the 10 episodes I've seen of the after party, every time she gets in it, she gets in them straight. You saw this, what happened here? All right, but you said that, but I'm not seeing that. What this, do you know what I mean? Getting into them so that there's at least a bit more of a challenge, so we can actually see, more of what they actually thought, which actually then led to, I guess, what O said about Katina, which probably should talk about actually as well. Do you believe the fact that he's coming home to an unclean home and no food on the table? Do you believe that he's coming to that kind of house? Sean, what do you think he's coming to? And I'll ask you after. Do you think he's coming home to an unclean home and no food?
I think there might be some truth to it. I really do. I think it's like his methods are trash. The way he goes after her, trash. His expectations, trash. But I do think there's a little something to it. The way she admitted to going to the grocery store and only getting minimal groceries, it showed me like it's just not her thing. I don't think she is domestic in that sense. And everybody's not, but I don't think she is. So again, I'm not justifying anything he did, said, or whatever, but I don't think Katina is that domestic. I think it takes a lot out of her to do those things. She's just not into it. If I had to guess, she probably still lives at home with her parents, so she's probably kind of used to things being done for her. And I think it's a little bit of a stretch for her to do some of the things, like even when they talked about the cleanup after the fact. Now, again, I'm thinking from a married man's perspective. I remember anytime we had anything going on, the shoe was on the other foot. I was the one having to be like, come on, we got to do this. Let's get this done. Let's get this house clean, before we go to bed. Every now and then it might be like, you know what, it's a late night. Let's just go to bed. We'll get it in the morning. But for the most part, it was my wife driving that. And it wasn't because nobody told her. It's just that was innate in her to do that. And I don't think that's innate in in Katina to do it. And that's where his frustration is coming from, because when he's doing it, she's like, yeah, I'll get it in the morning. It's just not her thing. I don't really think it's her thing. And she's kind of like an even kind of lackluster kind of personality. So she's like, what's the big deal? Whereas some people value those things. Some people don't like to go to, they used to, you don't go to bed with dishes in the kitchen sink. You don't go to bed if the kitchen is not swept. And if that's in your mind, it's very hard to change when you see somebody who is the exact opposite of that. She's definitely self-admitted that she's not really a cooker. She's learned a couple of things, but she's not really a cooker, and she doesn't seem to be the biggest of cleaners either. So,
V, what's your thoughts? Thank you, Sean.
So if Olajuwon was eating peanut butter and jelly before she showed up, he should have been happy she brought back that bread and water. What's the problem? What's the problem? I'm just playing. She just forgot the Jiffy. That's all. She just forgot the Jiffy. No, but that is ridiculous. Like, did she not eat before she met him? Like, who goes to the grocery store and only comes back with bread and water? Like, I don't get it. I believe what he's saying. I believe everything he's saying. I just don't like his approach. I hear people talking about all the time that, you know, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? Obviously, what he wants brought is some food and some cleaning supplies, because that's what he's looking for. And if you're not coming with that, ladies, he don't want to hear it. He does not want to hear it. So I believe that she might be a little bit on the unclean side of the game, you know, and he's getting frustrated. Some people are very OCD and they need everything perfect. And if that's the case, he will not be able to live with that lady because she won't be able to get comfortable. And he's never going to be able to get comfortable because the house is never going to be in a place where he likes it. He's going to pull out that white glove every time. When he comes home, he's going to swipe. It's not going to be right. And there's going to be heck to pay. I honestly feel they just need to cut their losses and everybody walk off. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's more about I don't like the way he goes about it. Like I said, I think it's abusive. But the aspect I would say is that I think what the frustration I would see, or I would be frustrated with, is probably expectation, because I thought that these are basics. Maybe not the cooking aspect, right? Because I think asking someone to cook a whole meal, and expecting that to be done is kind of that's a unique skill in itself. People don't realize cooking in itself is a unique skill. There's an art to cooking. You know what I'm saying? You don't just be throwing spices in there anyhow, anyway. Okay, it's an art to it. You know what I mean? So, that's an art in itself. But maybe the cleaning aspect, that one would rile me up. I'm not gonna lie to you, cuz that one would finish me. Yeah, that if we've had a party and I'm saying, babe, let's just clean this up and go to bed, and you go to bed, the next morning it's gonna be rough for all of us, because I'm just like, why are we not doing this? Is our house, and I hate having a messy I hate that kind of stuff. So that's probably why it's a bit of an ick for me. If you're living on your own, do whatever you want. When I live with people, right, I have a way of doing things. So I don't like the house being messy. I don't like dishes in the sink. I don't like leaving things unclean. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're living with me, I want you to have a nice living experience. That includes when we have the party, let's clean up before we go to bed. Now, people are saying we can do it in the morning. Yeah, she's working from home. I'm going to work. I have to sleep and wake me go the next morning. I'm just doing it from his perspective. He might be going to work a little bit later on. So by the time he gets around to it, it's not morning for him. It's afternoon, and that means she's doing it by herself. Could have just done it just there and then. That's why I think for me it's a bit of a trigger. It wouldn't be a case of where I would have gone the way he went about it, but I was seeing that kind of thing. And I know some people say like your partner may not like clean up in the morning. That's the business. In this household, we clean together. Okay, because we held a party together. All right. And even if you held a party and I came back late and came in at the end, if I saw you, if your friends are gone, I would help you. And I think that's where the initiative aspect comes in, right? Using your initiative, that if you see me doing something, would you want to help? Like if I see my wife cleaning and I came in through the door, right? My first thought is, oh, babe, you're right. Do you need some help? If she then says, babe, I've got it, I'm like, you sure, babe? Because I don't mind helping you clean up. No, babe, I'm good. Then, okay, she's told me she's good. But if she says, babe, like, I love a bit of help, I'm going to get into there. I'm just like, babe, yeah, I'm going to help you. Probably even before I've even said that, I've probably started trying to help anyway. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. But I think it's the initiative of that aspect. So she can learn because she wants to learn. I'm not saying that she doesn't want to learn. I think she finds it difficult doing that aspect. I don't think it comes naturally to her. But the cooking part is a bit difficult because I think that one is not everyone can cook, man. And cooking is it's a special skill that requires time. You have to learn this thing. It's not something you just put together. So yes, maybe would you be insulted if you came back home and then she had put peanut butter and jelly on there? you might be insulted still. You wouldn't be happy about it, bro. Like, because the way that you're munching the food when you went to the little food thing, tasting thing, you're asking her to cook big boy meal without her actually have learned this actual skill. Can you even cook big boy meal? You can't. So you know how much effort it's going to take to cook that kind of meal, and you're expecting that with the energy you're talking about. That's my issue. You know what I'm saying? I get the cleaning part because I think we should all be cleaning. I don't think anyone should be without cleaning skills. I'm sorry. We are not in university when you're 18. You should know how to clean. I don't care what anyone says. I know that some people have been sheltered. If you don't know how to clean, I have a problem with you. You should learn this skill. Because some of you went to university, college, whatever, you were on your own, and you had to that one should come naturally. But the cooking aspect, I get it. You know, not everyone can cook a big ass meal and, you know, 5-star restaurants style food. That one, it takes time to learn. So yeah. Any more thoughts on that before we shift it to Michael and Jasmina? What are you saying, Sean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally, because I think about how I live as a single Sean versus how I lived as a married Sean, right? And I think you need to be considerate of other people. And I'm not saying I got it perfectly right all the time, but you operate with a level of consciousness that you are living with somebody else. So what may be acceptable for you on your own, you've got to think differently. And I just remember, like, hey, when I went shopping, you know, prior to getting married, I was used to shopping for one, right? You know, my ex-wife had 2 kids from her first marriage. So now I went from shopping from one to shopping to 4, cooking for one to sometimes cooking for 4. You know, that's an exponential difference. So I think you have to operate in that mind frame. And I think, like, some people get stuck in their own head, and it's like there's a little bit of selfishness in it, and it may not be intentional, but you know, she might be just playing it off like, what's the big deal? Or she might be annoyed in the moment. That's probably why she made that snarky comment, well, I'm gonna clean my half of the floor, because she was annoyed. But you got to realize, like, there is an element of balance and a give and take in a marriage. And if you know cleanliness is important to that person, it's not something that's going to kill you to be more cleanly, right? It's not going to ruin your life. It's going to be an inconvenience because you're not doing what you want to do. But, you know, and he was there cleaning with her, right? So in that moment, you know, again, he's wrong. His actions, his language, it's abusive. But just in theory, take Isaac out of it and just think about the scenario. There is some give that she needs to do, and she kind of does have to grow up a little bit in the sense of being more responsible about how she navigates, you know, married life.
Absolutely. And again, this is not about saying a woman should cook and clean. This is about teamwork. This is important, you know, understanding how, and I think someone said it, someone put their version is that they would cook for the whole party. Therefore, she might be tired. So by the end, she might not have the strength to try and clean. I would understand that because if you've done all the cooking and it's a mad cookout, I can also understand that. Baby's done. Baby, you want to go and rest. You've cooked the whole day. Go sit down. I got this. I'm gonna handle it. That's the kind of person that I am. Do you know what I mean? And I think everyone should find a partner that at least has some kind of compromise in that area because, you know, asking someone to throw a banquet down, which is what he was asking for at the at the house wing, which she didn't have the ability to do that, so she delegated, which I thought was okay. She decided, okay, I can't throw it down, but I'm gonna delegate that. Do you know what I mean? And so again, you know, I think, you know, house chores are a teamwork effort. You know, I think both parties need to be involved. This is not my African dad from years ago, and you know he knows what he's doing. What he doesn't. No, we should work as a team because in this generation, both parties more than likely are working. Therefore, I cannot expect you to do the cooking and cleaning solely if you work in the same amount of hours I'm working. That doesn't make no sense for me to expect that of you. You know what I'm saying? And I think also at sometimes the way he goes about, he be forgetting she be working too, sir. So if you're wanting that, for instance, when they were doing the cooking aspect, bro, I get it. You want home cooked meals, bro. What you forgot was she also works. Why didn't you learn this so you're also cooking it for her too, right? Because I remember the last episode when he was talking about the cooking aspect, he was like, oh, you know, he was like, oh, she's been talking about shrimp for so long, shrimp for so long, and she ain't cooked it yet. Oh, bro, listen, hold on a minute. Yeah, I need you to deep it that everybody's working, okay? All right. You encourage people to do stuff. We don't demean them and break them down if you want it done. Do you know what I'm saying? Are you cooking whole meals? I'm not saying you're not cooking breakfast. We know that already. But are you cooking whole meals? To cook from scratch, Sean, you know the deal. It is tough. It is energy. You are knackered by it. In fact, half the time when you finish cooking, you don't even want the meal no more. You don't even want the meal no more. It's not even enjoyable after that because the process takes so long sometimes. You ain't even on it. So I need you to come to that understanding, bro, that you must be able to empathize with the partner that you're dealing with to understand that there's energy and effort being put in. So if you want that from that person, how are we helping you to ease the burden? So we're both kind of moving along at the same time. I'm carrying you, you're carrying me. Don't just expect things expecting this behavior and then not take into account what they're having to deal with on a daily basis. Because if this is what the case, I'm scared to see what's going to happen when you have kids. You're going to say, well, I expect you to look after. So she's going to be cooking, cleaning, and looking after the kids, and working, and bringing money into the house. My fam, it can't be the case. You know what I mean? It cannot be the case. You know what I'm saying? V, I think you were going to say something. I kind of jumped in.
No, I agree with the whole cooking is definitely a skill. Both of my parents were chefs, and they would be on you. And that process, they would wreck that they would kill that kitchen. And then the dude I was married to, I remember the first time he met my parents, I was in there. I'm a Caribbean girl, so they were like, "Oh, you got to show this man that you know how to cook and clean and all that good stuff." And I'm in there with a pile of dishes so high, my little short self was drowning in those dishes. And he came in, he was like, "Do you need any help?" I think that was the reason I married him. But either way, he was like, "Do you need help? Do you need this? Do you need that?" Everybody can't. There's nobody that can do all that stuff at the same time. I tried. It did not work. But the working, rearing the kids and doing all the cooking and cleaning and doing like full Caribbean meals, I was tired, y'all. I was tired. You can't, you can only sustain it for so long before you're just like, you know what? No, I can't do this anymore. So I totally get it. But yeah, cooking is a skill. Cleaning is not. I mean, cleaning to somebody's particular level sometimes can be a skill because some people are like have higher standards than others. But yeah, you definitely need to at least clean after yourself or whatever. And if he's coming home from work and a light bulb went off for me, I think the reason he doesn't think she's working is the same reason my dad used to tease me about. It's manual work versus office work, right? Or housewife versus going off to work. It's basically the perspective of you feel like if that person is not leaving and they're doing an office job. And I know that intellectual work can actually make you more tired than actual physical work, because I've been there, done that, where I don't even want to think anymore. So I think I don't want to go all the way and say lack of respect, but I think it's a lack of understanding of what people do for work, their different roles, and how much somebody can take before they've had enough and they're just exhausted. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's worth a conversation itself. You know, just about in terms of mental, you know, the drainage of office work is so draining. Like I worked in McDonald's for a few years, right? And I thought that was a bit tiring because, you know, you're doing a bit of manual labor, you're shifting the burger every day and all that kind of stuff. Then I went into office, yeah, bruv, after 5 o'clock, you just want to get home, you want to put the TV on, and I don't want to see cooking. I don't even want to do a 2-hour cook. I want something quick. I want it in the oven quick. I want to eat it, and then I want to go to bed. Because tomorrow, we're doing the same thing again. It is tiring. You know what I mean? So, and again, we're talking about perspective and not putting yourself in somebody else's shoe. You may think because you're an engineer or whatever you're doing, you know, it's manual, it's hands-on, you're getting your hands dirty, that you're doing a hard job. And you are. It's physically tasking. But you're using your body. I'm using my mind. It's also tasking. You know, how do I feel? Where do we feel tired? We feel tired in the mind that affects the body. So, sir, don't excuse me thinking that because I work in an office, it's easy work. And I think that's a lack of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Sean, what's your thoughts on that around you know, that kind of aspect?
Yeah, I think what D was saying, what V was saying, was 100% spot on. And what I kind of started to see was the difference in the type of jobs that they have, and
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to assess, and that just comes back to this control coach role that he has sees himself as. So he wants to be able to assess what she's doing. Right. So I know what I do. I want to be able to assess what you do. And I think he can assess it, and I think he also mentioned like sometimes he works on an evening shift, so he leaves at the end of the day, and then he's back home in the morning. So in his mind, he's expecting all these things to have happened while he's at work. Meanwhile, she's sleeping for a big chunk of that, and then the other part of it is probably her day is just getting started. So I think he has a warped perception of what needs to transpire and how they're going to divvy up household chores. Now, household chores do become a heated debate in any marriage. So I think how we divide who does what can be very problematic, you know. And I've seen it in my own relationship and also in other relationships, and it's just about a conversation, and people don't have the conversation, and O is not having a conversation with her. He has expectations, and then he's expecting execution. That's not how it works. Maybe at work, if he's managing, that can work there. Probably not even there, because you got to communicate with people to let them know what you expect of them, and then establish a time frame to let them do it. But yeah, he's got this warped expectation mixed with their different work schedules and the different type of work that they do, and now he's just forcing that on her, and it's like, well, I got all this stuff going for me, I expect you to do this. Well, you can have all the expectations you want, but you need to, one, communicate them, and two, they need to be things that the person can do, things that the person wants to do, ways that you can work it out together. You know, Coach, you know, I love to cook, right? So that was the one thing, and sometimes we would bump up against each other about it because I hate dishes. So definitely, if I'm cooking, I don't want to see a dish, and I'm not saying I'm cooking like, you know, a bowl of, you know, Campbell's soup that I just threw in the microwave. No, when I cook a 3 or 4 course meal, you know. So I don't want to deal with the dish. You know what I mean? And I'll do a little cooking I'll do a little cleaning along the way sometimes, but it was something we had to navigate, and I didn't always navigate it well. But it's one of those things. Like, I felt like if I'm doing all this cooking, I shouldn't have to clean the dishes. Like, especially with, it's not the thing I don't like. So I'm not saying I don't want to cook and I don't want to do dishes, because that's not fair. I'm just saying, hey, let's do this. So, but those conversations need to happen, and it can get contentious, and they got to figure it out, or they're just going to fight and not be together, because it's going to be those little petty things that build and build and build. And before you know it, it's like you're fighting over the things that you don't even need to fight about.
And you know what, as well, even amongst that as well, bro, we talk about triggers, right? Because one of the triggers for me that I didn't realize until I had my last girlfriend is messy kitchen. I get triggered, right? So because like for me, my dad always put into my head, if you cook, you clean. As you're cooking, you clean as you go. He said, like, I don't like when something about him that he's funny. He don't cook often, but when he cooks, like you Sean, he does do big star cook. When he cooks, though, he cleans. In fact, the kitchen is cleaner than when he got in there, right? So that's his standard. It's kind of mad when you see it, and it's like you're like, wow, the kitchen looks mad clean. This nigga could do this more, but he don't do this. But yeah, so you know what I'm saying, like, so for me as well, I think because like I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but my mom has schizophrenia, right? So during the schizophrenia, when she was having some episodes, when she cooks, the place is a bomb. And I used to wash dishes after her, and it's anxiety because everything is everywhere. That's a 2-3 hour job of me cleaning. So when I had my last girlfriend, when she came over, she cooked. She didn't clean the dishes right away. I blew up. I said, this cannot be happening in this household. Not in my house. I need this clean. That. I blew up. right? And she was like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" I said, "No, because when you cook, you clean. My kitchen should not be mash up after you cleaned it, like after you cooked. And I appreciate you cooking, but you ain't gonna mash up my kitchen like that. You understand, right?" Now she was gonna do it after. She said, "No, she might. We don't know." But anyway, I got in the neck before she could do that. So, but that's neither the point. What the point was that people even have triggers on this point too, right? And if you're not aware, this becomes, like you were saying, Sean, an argument, right? This becomes an argument now that doesn't need to be an argument, because what it should have been was there should have been a conversation after, say, "Hey, look, okay, babe, I would like for you to clean the kitchen after." If she says she's not good at that, then I may have to filter and be like, "All right, cool. Do you know what? When you're cooking, I'm gonna have to come in and clean because it's too much for me to deal with. Is that okay? Like, can I clean as well? Then after, when you've done that, then we've got a little compromise going on. Do you know what I mean? Some people don't like people being in the kitchen when they're cooking, though. That's kind of another thing as well, which is also difficult. Which means you might have to adjust again. I may not be able to wash the dishes as you're cooking. I may have to wait till after the meal is done, and I may have to go and do that again. But these are conversations to be had between two people, not for me to crucify you and nail you to a cross. Okay, that now we've got negative energy. Whenever you're cooking, you're thinking, "What's Kojo thinking? Is he going to be on my tail? Is he my neck?" And that's where our sister is right now, Katina. She's like, even now I'm thinking, "Is he going to be on my neck? He's going to be on my neck about this issue." You don't want to be in that place in a relationship. You know what I mean? Where when you're in that position. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, man, yeah, someone said it. They don't like people in the kitchen when they're cooking. Do you like people in the kitchen, Sean and V? Do you guys like people in the kitchen?
I actually like it. I like to cook together. So I used to
Okay.
like to, where I used to tease my wife, and I'd be like, "Come on and be my sous chef." But she used to get annoyed after a certain point. She was like, "I don't want to do that," because she was the exact opposite. But I love it. I like, because it's like a fun community, kind of thing to do. So I don't mind, but I was with someone that wasn't really a fan of it.
V, how about you?
I'm good with people being in the kitchen with me. I've been with people who don't like that, so I would send them off to go. I would delegate and send them off to go get all the goodies for the party or whatever, and then I would be in there throwing down, cutting up, and like you said, by the time it was all over, I didn't even want the food anymore. But I like the fact that other people enjoyed it and stuff. But I like Sean is saying, I think it can be very cute, very sexy to be in the kitchen together, cutting veggies, putting a meal together, showing how you work together. I think it can be a real romantic thing if the person allows you in the kitchen.
Do you think that there's I know it's slightly away from the topic, I know, but it just interested me. Like, do you think that maybe, okay, so you two are comfortable with it? Is that because you are absolutely comfortable with cooking, though? Like you are very adept at cooking, and even if somebody was to criticize you, you know your bangs. So it's like it don't matter what they say. Would that be a fair case to say?
I think that, and I think there's also an element of control in there too, because I know my mother-in-law, when she would come to our house for certain holidays, sometimes she would cook, and then I would cook like on the back end of her cooking, like just another side dish or two that traditionally she wasn't cooking. She couldn't stand it, like just the mere notion, and the mere notion of me being in the kitchen at the same time, it just bothered her. But it was more of a control thing, because she wanted to own the kitchen, every pot, every pan, every seasoning, every spice. Now meanwhile, I wouldn't in no way tell my mother-in-law, "Hey, you should put that in there, or you should put this in there." It wouldn't be in me to do it, but she just didn't like the presence. Some people are like that. They're very territorial cooks. They don't want you near a pot, close to it, unless they're asking you to taste it. If they're not asking you, they don't want you even anywhere near it. So,
V, how about you? Love that, Sean.
I'm from the South, and going into somebody's kitchen is a huge deal. You do not go into people's kitchen without their permission, especially to try to cook something. You might not walk back out. So, and that's man and woman. That's man and woman. But it is kind of a control thing. For me, myself, I like to get in there. Like I said, I can be in there for hours. On Thanksgiving, I don't even sleep the night before, cooking all the food so that everybody can eat the next day. And like I said, they're big on, if you do not go in a woman's kitchen without her permission. So yeah. So it's definitely control. It's control. It's your house. You're the lady or the man of the house, and it's your domain, and you know what you're doing. So somebody could bring some cups, some fork, maybe some little cheap drinks, but do not come in here trying to cook something if I didn't call for you. Do not come. No.
I love that, man. I love that. I find that fascinating, though. I find that fascinating because, like you said, the kitchen for some people, like you're absolutely right. I remember I had a friend, her mum. Whew, you don't go in that kitchen, boy. Listen, you go in to get a drink and you come back out. You don't. Hey, auntie, yeah, and you walk back out. You do not engage. You don't ask her if she needs help. You do not touch anything that shouldn't be touched. Leave the seasoning where it is. Don't try to clean nothing. Don't do anything apart from go to the fridge, grab your juice, and get back out. Because that's when she gets into the kitchen, she wants to cook. And I think she just loves cooking. I think that's where she gets her validation from. She loves the cooking. And, we pray after she's cooked up a storm, we praise her because the food is banging. So like you said, maybe it's just her place. It's her place where she can do her creative work. You know what I mean? So, some people see cooking as art. So yeah, go for V.
Yeah, that's the way some people show love. My mom shows love through cooking. And I think I'm the same way. So them working and slaving away in the kitchen is their love language to you. That and they put their heart and soul. Like I said, in the South, they say you put your foot in the plate, right? So that's your touch, right? So if I'm cooking for you like that, it's because I love you. And I want you to be nourished, and I want you to have the best food. They will make sure, especially if it's a man. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Especially if it's a man you're dating, you pick out the best pieces. You do all this stuff to show your love through your plate. So that's my experience.
I love that. For you, Sean, is it love? Would you say like there's a love for it? There's a love language to it?
Oh, it definitely is. So like as V is talking, I'm like, yes, all of that. So absolutely. I mean, I think, just the care, like I even remember during the pandemic, like while we were going through my divorce, funny story, we still were living in the household while the house was about to be sold, but we were choosing different meals. So we would like say, okay, we're going to go to China and make, Chinese food at home. And those are the things that we did. And it's just, to me, still so much fun. Like right now, my ex-wife could say, oh, Sean, I want you to make catfish for me. And, depending on my mood, I might do it, But, we have these conversations. And to me, food is such a big part of family and gatherings and, the care you take to, to make the, the different dishes, the recipes that come down through generations for certain things. So, yeah, no, I love it. And I grew up with both of my parents knew how to cook well. My dad knew how to cook, and so did my mom. So I grew up with examples of seeing it. My grandfather knew how to bake really well. So I just always saw men cooking. So for me, it just was naturally something that I gravitated to.
I love that. Interesting, man. This is powerful. I like that, man.
Sean, me and you have a similar story. I lived in the house with my husband before we got divorced too, and you would think he wouldn't ate the food, but whenever I cooked, he was right there at the pot. None of that didn't matter.
Yeah, because he knew. Because he knew.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, he knew.
No one throws it down like you, V. No one throws it down like you, Sean. I'm gonna still eat his food, okay? I love that. All right, cool. I love that, man. It's good to hear that, though. It's good to understand that as well. And it did make me think a little bit about O as well. That very similar to. I remember I was talking this about Corey from Ready to Love. That people, if he has ADHD, there can be a hyper focus on a particular subject. So the way that we understand it will be like, okay, I want you to cook, but I understand the different nuances around it. But maybe for him, the way he gets so hyper focused on the cooking, meaning this. You know what I mean? Like for instance, if we just said, like, if I said, okay, for instance, cooking, you shouldn't come into the kitchen. The nuance would be that some people like people coming to the kitchen, some people don't. But maybe for O, in his head is, if someone says cooking, don't come into the kitchen, that's for everybody. That's the hard line. There's no nuance around it, nothing else to it. And that's why there's such a hyper intensity around it. There's almost like you're throwing the law at somebody. It's like there is no other grace around any other of these subjects. It's just straight hard line. And that is where I think the intensity is coming from too. There's no nuance to the way he thinks. It's just straight, this is what it is, down the line. Because we can all understand cooking can mean a lot for you, but the way he's going about it is a bit problematic. Okay. Sorry, I know we took us on a tangent. Michael and Jasmina finally. He's all over the place. It's all over the place. All over the place. V, what you saying, man?
Okay, I'm about to like bring something to the. I'm gonna say something that I heard somebody say, and it kind of got me offended a little bit, but I kind of understood where they were coming from. It may be a cultural clash. It may be a cultural clash that they're not showing. So, I'm of Haitian descent, so is Michael, right? And Jasmina is Jamaican. So if you're from the islands, you might know what's actually going on. It's way better than it used to be, but it may be a cultural clash in how they're speaking to each other. When you're in a Haitian household, I don't know. What the man says is law, right? What the man says is law. There's even, I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be. Although they're known for being lovers, they also run that house. It was to the point where you don't even look a man in the face all the way. That's how it used to be back in the day. So Michael growing up in a house full of Haitian women, I think that got flipped on his head. But he's also probably not used to the way that Jasmina is talking to him. It's making him completely bewildered and confused that a lady is speaking to him in that tone, in that manner. So that's the cultural aspect I see of it. But Jasmine, I think she knows how to communicate, but she really does not. She says he has a tone, but she's really the one with the tone. Yes, Michael likes to lie. But we know he likes to lie. He tells fibs. He said that she cut him off and she really didn't. So she may, and then of course the roommates, right? So she may not be trusting him and everything, but I think there's no reason for her. I honestly think she's not attracted to Michael. That's what I think it boils down to. I think she's very similar to Alyssa, but her approach in driving the relationship into the ground is different. She's talking to him like she's one of his, like he's one of her students. And there's not many men who are going to ride with that for too long. So he came to her, asked her how he should be able to communicate, and she had an attitude even then. I think this episode, she opened up a little more, a little bit, with Viviana being there. But for her to say that her, with JJ don't get wet for, like, like the way she comes real, like, crazy. Like, I probably wouldn't even want to try anymore. Like, I don't even know. Like I said, he's doing better than me. Like, he's not my cup of tea, meaning looks wise, but nobody deserves to be treated in a crazy manner or talked down to in a crazy way, based on your lack of attraction for. I don't think she respects him personally, and I don't think that she is attracted to him. And if that boils down to her childhood trauma and people letting her pass, and she is a beautiful woman, but I can honestly say, as I've been watching the show, she's losing her attractiveness to me. The more and more crazy she speaks, the more her attitude, like it literally is like melting away for me. So I can only imagine what he sees when she's talking to him. And I also think he thinks that she is on a higher level than him. And I think that's why, meaning looks wise and whatever wise. And that's why she's getting a pass. She's getting a pretty pass. That's what I see when I see them interacting. So.
Thanks for that, V. Sean, what's your thoughts?
V, I think that's an interesting perspective, about the kind of like the intracultural differences that they have, that coupled with, everything else that she wants to highlight, but doesn't want to highlight that they are arguing about. And I just think she is completely, like, it is just blindingly unaware of how she comes across. She has absolutely, and I think it's intentional because her friends know it. Her friends have told her it, but she still sits around and pretends like he is the problem. And for me, all I've seen him do is try to work around her, try to come up with ways to get to know her better, right? He says, tell me how to communicate with you, right? And she still finds a way to chop his head off about it. So to your point, V, she just doesn't want him. And I was super concerned when they did the preview about her saying her vagine doesn't get wet. And I'm glad it wasn't exactly the way that it was, because it wasn't necessarily personally about him, but about how she connects and gets turned on. There needs to be an emotional connection. But I don't buy what she's saying, because her walls are built up so high, especially with Michael. There is no way for him to get to an emotional connection with her, because she already sees him one set way. And every time he says anything, she looks at him that way, and then she criticizes him. And then she turns around and almost gaslights him and tells him he's the problem. So it's like, I don't understand her at all. Even the way she stormed out when they were trying to have the conversation about journaling. And he was like, well, I think it's something we should do. And she was like, well, I don't have a problem communicating. You do right now, because this is not respectful, effective communication from him to you. It's like she's just in her own head, and she doesn't think about how he receives her. And very similar to O, it's like you're just thinking about yourself. So then you want to be in a relationship with you. So be in a relationship, be single, because that's what being single is, being in a relationship by yourself. You know, you don't care how he receives you. You need to leave room for how he is experiencing you. And that is a very difficult, argumentative, not positive, warm person. And she's putting up all these things that he needs to do, but he's never going to get there, because every time he tries to do something, it's going to be received as something wrong or something offensive. So yeah, I don't see it for those two, because she just can't look in the mirror. Doesn't matter who tells her. Even her friends told her. Like, that for me was, I thought, okay, maybe she'll have an aha moment. And she's like, even if my friends are telling me, maybe I need to dial it back. Nope. She's still going to be her. She's still going to carry on. She's still going to nitpick and run him into the ground. So I'm kind of done with her.
Go for it, V.
No, I was just thinking what Lindsay said. It was hilarious. I like, he's never going to make her flood her basement. I don't know if you saw the after party. It's not, it's going to be dry. It's going to be tumbleweed down there. Just saying. It ain't happening. He's not getting over that wall.
Yeah, it's tough for these two, man. I mean, like I said, I've said a lot earlier on, so I don't want to say too much again. But yeah, I think I just need Jasmina just to open her eyes a little bit, and see where she's kind of affecting the relationship as well, because it would help so much, and then she can also get a little bit more from him as well. Right now, she's not getting the best out of him. He's definitely not getting the best out of her, because she's unwilling to introspectively look at some of her behavior patterns. Like I said, today was a bit of a mad one, because when we saw her kind of rolling her eyes and kind of just being contemptible, and the gentleman's just trying to have a conversation with you, and this is not the first time that he tried to have a conversation. Last episode we saw him asking you, hey, how can I communicate with you? And she turned that into something as well. So I think he's gonna have to find a way. If they're to make this work, he's gonna have to find a way as well how to assert some real good boundaries when it comes to doing what she did. Because she's gonna keep doing what she's gonna do. She's gonna keep on testing your boundaries, and we're gonna need him to kind of just regulate that by just letting her know, this is my boundaries. I don't appreciate what you're doing. This needs to stop. Else we can't talk, right? Right now, he's given her a lot of grace and a lot of space, and that's also good as well. I understand that, but you've at a point in time, you also have to let the person know this is not behavior I find acceptable, and I think that's why I'm looking at Michael like, I don't know, do you have that in you without it becoming a scolding match back as well, right? And I think that's where there's an issue. Like, how do I let you know this behavior's off without it becoming scolding or, you know, without it becoming going off. I have to let you know, hey, you're actually now stepping on my boundaries. I don't appreciate this. The same way Steve did to Noi, doing it without there being, you know, a stick completely beating the person as well. I think he's going to need to know how to do that. That's not me blaming him for the situation, but I'm saying that's the learned lesson. He's going to have to learn how to, you know, establish himself in this situation so that it doesn't happen that much, you know. Yeah. What are you saying, V? You want to add something else? Go for it.
No, I was gonna say Steve might not have a job, but he know how to communicate, so he might want to go into that
Communications.
But yeah, Michael definitely needs to stand up for himself. It may be because he grew up with mostly sisters and he lost his brothers or whatever. Something is not clicking. He's not standing up for himself, or he doesn't want to. I mean, she's already called the man aggressive and use all these dog whistle words and everything. He may be afraid to step up because he doesn't want to be read as aggressive or coming against a woman or whatever. But he, at some point, he needs to put his foot down. I think we don't want to blame him, but she's gonna keep trying him until he actually says something. She's gonna keep doing it. She's a line crosser. All her relationships have been long distance, like you said earlier. So she's never had to sit there and really learn how to get along with somebody. Hey, we're long distance. If you start getting on my nerves, whoop, whoop, click, I'm gone. I don't have to talk to you for the whole rest of the day. I can go live my life. You're somewhere else. I can totally be, I can totally be whatever I want to be. I don't have to learn how to communicate with you. I can only see you when it's good times and fun. And whenever I don't feel like seeing you, I can go about my business. Now she's stuck in the house with a man. Like I said, I'm convinced she's not attracted, with a man that she's not attracted to, and she has to interact with that person. She should have took the Alyssa route and just went about her business. I really feel like that's what she should have did.
Sean, any additions?
I just don't think there's anything that he can do. You know, there's nothing that he can say to her because he's disagreeing with her now and she's calling him aggressive and she doesn't like his tone. So I think it's like there's nothing that man can do other than check out, you know, and just leave her to her own vices. And then she low-key tells him that's what he's doing anyway. She was like, I just feel like you're shutting down. What do you expect when all you do is nitpick the person? All you do when he does try to share something with you, you tell him he's taking the tone, you tell him that he's the problem. So yeah, like I just don't think there's anything more masculine. How else? If he showed up any more masculine, she would be calling 911 because she's just, you know, she's just a walking problem. Like everything is an issue and she just cannot take any feedback. It's like, how do you expect to be the only one doling out feedback, the only one giving a critique? And the minute somebody tells you something you don't want to hear, you flip out and you said, no, that's your tone, your tone. No, it's actually your tone. Her tone is the issue. Your tone is the problem. And the minute you don't hear what you want to hear, or the minute he suggests something that you should do, you're going to turn around and say, no, I don't think we should do that. Walk out, come back, and then you want to suggest something that you two should do. It's like you think you're in the classroom with your preschool kids, like you're the only one giving instruction here. No, this is a two-way street. You have to be willing and open for dialogue. You also need to be open and receptive to hearing what somebody has to say and their opinions and be willing to do something different. And then she's like goofy. And in normal circumstances, it's kind of cute and endearing, but you add that on to like the coldness, it's just annoying, you know, because the minute he says something, it's like she's like cackling and goofy. Then she wants to like, oh, can I pick your beard? It's like, no, how about you massage my shoulders? You like my arms so much? Give me an arm massage. Do something that advances us in a better direction and not with all this silliness. Like, because we don't need any more playtime. We need to see if there's a serious connection between you and I. And she just wants to do everything but that. And then give an excuse or a reason in terms of, well, I need an emotional connection. Well, how does one get emotionally connected to you, Jasmina? right? Like, what are the steps that somebody needs to do that, since you know everything? So that's my thought about her. I just get so frustrated when I see her, because it's like, ugh. It's like I've never seen somebody. She's like Rubber Woman. This accountability just bounces off of her, and she just deflects it right back. So.
V, anything else to say?
I was gonna say, we're even getting sad just sitting here thinking about it. We all look just so sad just sitting here thinking about it. The funny part is she's always calling him negative and all this other. It's like everybody that's actually negative on the show calls other people negative. So there's some major gaslighting going on. It's really bad. I don't see how they're gonna be able to get out of this. I mean, sometimes I see her kind of flirting a little bit. I see a little bit of flirting. Somebody made a point that when she takes pictures with him, she always does like a connection, like she has a little side I don't know if I can say the word, touching his arm. She does touch him, but it never goes all the way. And the same thing you said, I thought she was going to be pretty fun and goofy because she started talking about K-dramas, BTS, and sci-fi stuff, which he knew nothing about, right? But I felt like a different personality was going to come out than what actually presented itself on the show. I was hoping it was going to be opposites and they were going to teach each other different things and come together, like I said, culturally in different ways to become a really viable married couple. But he is not going to be able to get past her wall. The funny thing is, I feel like she has a better relationship with his sister than she does with him. Like, she seems to be living her best life with the sister. So, like I said, I just don't think she likes him.
It's a shame, really. Herself, Lindsay, they need to start a little group for them. Just a good old therapy AA group for them. Okay, all right. Let them sit down in the group and let them say out their troubles, because all three of them are dangerous individuals to their partner at the moment. It's a shame, really. Because, like I said, you want to hope for the best for these couples, you know what I mean? But right now, I cannot see, Jasmina and Michael working. I just think to myself, there's too much going on there, and I don't think she's gonna have enough time to recover in time. I mean, when a girl tells you now she's not even getting fanny flutters for you, what do you do with that information? Like, bro, like, what do you do with that information? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to come back from that. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm scared for them, to be honest. I don't think they even should say yes. At Judgment Day, they shouldn't say yes. They should just let the relationship go to hell. Yeah, they should. Yeah. All right. Okay. Any final thoughts? And then we'll kind of wrap it up.
I honestly think none of these couples are gonna make it. Maybe Steve and Noy, but I wasn't on here when you guys were talking about Steve and Noy. I think he doesn't want to work, and she's not gonna be here for him sitting on the couch at the house while she's at work. It's not happening. But I'm not sure what the experts were thinking when they put these people together. It's becoming a running joke. Obviously, they're putting them together for ratings, because you put Katina, who's been in an abusive relationship before and who's scared to cry because it's going to make her weak, with Olajuwon, who's super hyper masculine and super traditional. Then you put Michael, who is scared to be vulnerable and very quiet, with Jasmina, who seems to be more outgoing, I guess, but who's very judgmental and critical, right? Then you have Lindsay, who is supposed to be supporting Mark the Shark, but she's basically beating him down, and he doesn't like to be embarrassed, and you put him with somebody who likes to get drunk and embarrass people. And I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing? Did I miss somebody? I think I got everybody. Yeah, I don't think any of these people are going to make it. Oh, and Alyssa and Chris, and we already know that. Yeah, they're gone. Good. But that's it for me.
Unless they're still on the roof. Yes, Sean.
I have a funny feeling that O and Katina are gonna make it.
Mm.
I just I don't know. There's something, and listen, I leave room for me being wrong. Is whatever it is, but I just feel like there's something that he's gonna do something, whether he's gonna really get a breakthrough and realize that he's in jeopardy of losing her, and he's gonna make a change. I think that's possible. And I think they may stay together. And I definitely see Steve and Noi together because she's in La La Land. So, and that alter ego, I think, is gonna just have her living in a fantasy land and see the best in him. And now that he's told her that he loves her, I think she's fully invested and dug in. The rest of them, yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. But
I definitely hear you on that. Yeah, I'm definitely hearing that. I won't say anything more. Sean, do what you do best. Let's get a benediction. You know.
Yes, so we had a great chop it up session tonight, V. Oh man, it was really good hearing your perspectives. Nice to meet you. Nice to chop it up with you. We had a great dialogue discussing some of these couples. I think we are starting to see the rubber meeting the road. We'll start out with Noi and Steve. Our opinion stands the same. Steve, we need to see the job. We need to see the income, brother. Look at the way the world is going. These great ideas and these inventions and copyrights and patents that are supposedly out there, listen, they don't pay dividends forever. So we need a plan. We need to hear the plan, good sir. And the plan can't be housekeeping. The plan needs to be, how are you going to contribute to the financials of your family, sir? Then we have O and Katina. Oh, brother, please, if you're watching us, learn how to communicate, learn how to talk to your wife, learn how to have a conversation with your wife, leave room that she is a whole person, was a whole person before you, respect your wife. And respect means giving her grace. Respect means talking to her not like your child or somebody you're coaching, but like a person and your partner and your equal. So you got to do better, bro. Do better. Do better if you want to keep her. Then we have Jasmina and Mike. Man, we spent a lot of time talking about communication. There's roadblocks, communication, there's love, there's desire, or even the will. And I don't know if any of those things exist between this couple. But what I can say, and I've said this before, marriages are a mirror. You both need to look at each other and see what that mirror is reflecting out, and why are you both treating and interacting with each other in the way you are, and what have you learned? So what is the mirror showing you, right? And what can you learn from the other person? Lindsay and Mark. Mark will be forever known in my head until he shows me different as the goldfish. He's no longer the shark. Mark, you got to do better. No flip-flopping. Be clear, be upfront, be concerned, be respectful, but tell her what's going on and be honest. Lindsay, put your sword away. Put your sword away. And your sword is your tongue. And you are using it as a weapon, and that should never be used as a weapon to anyone, let alone to the person you're supposed to love. So, Lindsay, put your sword away. And that's it. I'll turn it back to you, Coach.
Thank you very much, Sean. Appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. V's good to have you on here. Added some good spice on here. Good addition of points as well. Really did appreciate your points today. So I love that. Sean, as always, thank you so much. Audience members, it's been an absolute pleasure. You guys came out 600 strong, and we appreciate you for that as always. Listen, we're going to be back here next week. We go again. There is no Ready to Love, I think, this week. So there won't be no panel on Saturday. Maybe we'll have something else. Maybe we'll have a different topic or whatever. And we'll do just an open panel so you guys can join us on the Saturday. Or maybe we'll choose another day to do something. I don't know. I've got to try and do some works in the background, get you some content coming through, guys. So yeah, listen, just stay tuned for what's coming up. We do have a men's panel this Sunday, though. So we have men's panel. I believe the topic I said was how not to get played. So we're gonna make sure we do that right for you guys. So for you ladies, if you want to see that, for men too, it's good to you to join as well, because some of the stuff that we're talking about is important, man. You know. So listen, audience members, I will see you again very soon. Don't forget, I'll leave a link in the description box as well to vote for me, okay, on Vote For Me Influence TV, part of the contest. You can click on the link. It'll be down in the description once this video ends, and you can vote to have me on there. You get me? I want you guys to support the thing. You get me? Win or lose, we appreciate you. So listen, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. And just remember, some people, they don't want peace.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.